right, folks, this is Frederick and the publisher and founder of Saturday AM, and we are once again right behind schedule as we get set up for this live review of our March Art Madness 2019 competition. This is bringing us over 60 amazing artists from around the world to compete in a mano style 5-week knockout tournament. Super excited about it, but as you can imagine, as we are the ones who do this, it is very difficult to structure this. Sometimes we have to correlate votes between the public and our own staff and creative team. We've got our own things that we, of course, produce, which is how most of you guys know about us, via things like the magazine Saturday AM. But we're going to get into all of that and run through some really amazing, over 60 just amazing pieces of artwork from extraordinary creators from around the world. First things first, just give us a few seconds as we get the video stream up and running, and likewise get everything prepped to walk you guys through this tournament. We'll let you guys know everything that you need to do if you want to participate. And again, we're really excited about jumping into this with you guys and being able to share with you all the amazing artwork that we've had a chance to cover this year. So give me a moment. We're going to get things set up here. I see 33 people are watching us. No doubt they've been waiting for some time to check us out. So again, we do apologize. This is just kind of the nature of the beast when it comes to trying to do a live video. We're playing with technologies and things that can make this a lot smoother, but it is just when you're a small company, you're growing, it is always a pain in the butt. And those of you who've been following us for a long time have been always so kind to recognize how tough this is as we kind of go through all of this. But again, thank you guys for your patience. We're waiting to get the final pieces of things set up so we can get started. And again, thank you guys for being patient and giving us your time. Really appreciate it. So I'm very fortunate to be joined by two extraordinary creators. We have the one and only Jeyodin, the creator of one of our hit series, and he's one of our newest members, but he really feels like he's been a part of Saturday for a long time. And it's the creator of Hammer, it's Mr. Jeyodin. Jay, can you say hey to everybody, or are you still trying to get that mic set up? So Jay, I'm sorry. Are you still setting it up? Okay, so Jay's still setting his mic up, folks. Like I said, this is the difficulty of trying to get this thing going. We were expecting to get more of our creators in, but once we had to delay things a bit, it kind of threw off some of our creative staff able to join us. We also had Goeffrey Jean-Lous, who is the creator of Saturday PM title Yellow Stringer. Goeffrey, we actually discovered through another big thing that we do outside of March Art Madness. It's called Summer of Manga. It's a big short story competition. And he produced a really beautiful short story called Mara the Martian. Goeffrey, can you hear me?
That I can.
Excellent. All right. So everyone can hear Goeffrey. And how are you doing this evening, Goeffrey?
Not too bad. Just working on this next issue of Yellow Stringer. But right now, at the moment, I'm just driving to also get my mom.
Okay. Well, that's great. So we got Goeffrey, who is working on Yellow Stringer. So if you guys haven't seen this, it's kind of like a throwback to really awesome 1980s style manga from like Kenichi Soda, who did Gunsmith Cats. It's kind of got that artistic style to it, but it's obviously more modern. It features a female protagonist and her male partner, kind of like this motley duo. And they go up against supernatural threats set in a kind of journalistic setup. So, or journalism setup. So we're really excited about Goeffrey. He's an extraordinary talent that you guys are going to really be quite amazed when you see him as time goes on. We've got him pegged to be a real superstar. Much like our very own White Manga, and of course Jeyodin as some other artists that we have at Saturday AM. We've also got Stephen Alcaide here. Stephen is one of our writers. Stephen's been working with us for some time. Stephen, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing fantastic.
Good. Stephen, a man of Few words. That is Steven, even though he writes a lot of words. So great. So we got Steven, we got Jay, we got Jeffrey, we got a great little lineup here. And we've got, again, 60 pieces of extraordinary artwork. Folks, we're going to jump into this. Now, let me say that when I set this up, it's really tough. So, so bear with me for how we do this, because I am hoping that this is going to come together exactly the way that I wish, but I can't say for sure. So let us see if this is what occurs once I get started. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm doing this a little bit differently this time, and that's why you're going to see me seem so shy about this, because I want this to work. So now we now have the screen up and going. I think you guys can see the full screen. I'm going to be monitoring the YouTube and make sure that that is the case. And folks, as is always the case, one thing I can say is please, try to respect everyone else who's in the group. Who's watching. Obviously, we don't want to make someone's enjoyment of the art and of the spectacle any less because of crude and inappropriate things being said. So please try to respect that. And beyond that, we are super excited to get into this. Now, March Art Madness. This is something that we are really ecstatic about. This is a tournament we began back in 2016. The idea being that when we started Saturday AM, we got so many people who were approaching us, who were really proud of what we were doing. And of course, we created Saturday AM to fill a need that we felt like was missing in traditional manga, which is more diverse content. And when we started that, it was something everyone kind of thought about and hoped would happen one day. But we really kind of jumped in there first and said, no, this is really our platform. This is our plank. And we're determined to make this happen. There's no reason you can't have Black characters as leaders of manga. There's no reason manga can't come from someone from South Africa or India or Israel and so on and so forth. And so we really pushed to make Saturday AM a proper brand in that regard. And I must say, it's been 5 years and we've just grown dramatically. And so many people around the world, as we anticipated, embraced it. They embraced it not just by supporting us and our magazine, but they embraced it by supporting the idea and wanting to bring their content to us. The work that we've done has inspired lots of groups. There are many people who've wanted to jump into this. So it's been really interesting to watch the last 5 years to see competitors who actually, some of them were part of Saturday AM at one point or tried to be a part of Saturday AM at one point. In fact, it just saw a press release the other day. You got big companies who were like, hey, this original manga thing, we want in on that. So we've known about that announcement for some time. So we think it's great that we've been trying to push this, and now finally people are listening. We think it's great, and so March Art Madness is really an outgrowth of that, because the idea is that before you can create your own comic, you've got to really start perfecting your art. You've got to stop drawing things that are things that you like and start drawing all sorts of things that can help you tell a good story. If you like drawing Dragon Ball, well, unless Akira Toriyama hires you, you're not going to draw Dragon Ball. So why not draw something else? Why not draw an original creation? Draw women, draw men, draw women who are tall, women who are short, men who are tall, men who are short. Draw people who are Black, respectfully. Draw people who are Latino. Draw people who are Arabic. Draw people who are Latin American. I mean, it's like we want to impress upon people the need to, first of all, take art seriously, take the idea of crafting original content seriously. We all begin the same way, which is to create fan art. That's how everybody starts, folks. No one is immune to that. Everyone gets introduced to comic books through movies or TV shows, cartoons, video games, and they end up falling in love with the idea of creating great content. So fan art is in the DNA of any artist. No artist becomes a big super artist one day without loving fan art and crafting fan art. The question of where you go with fan art is always the big question. However, it's can you mature beyond that? And this tournament really was started, again, to continue this idea that we have to bring more diversity to comic art and manga art, but more importantly, to push people to step outside of their comfort zones. That's what we want manga to do. And again, it seems like it's working. And that's what we hope artists can do. So this tournament was built on that mantra. Now, if you know, of course, here in America, we have this big concept called March Madness, which is for college basketball. That is something that also matters because I went to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. It was something that I grew up with as a kid, loving. In fact, March Madness is happening right now for fans of college basketball. Anyone in the United States, even if you're not a sports fan, knows what March Madness is. And so the idea came from that. But instead of being 64 college basketball teams, we have 60 plus artists from around the world. And that's kind of the setup. So let's just start by just kind of going through a little bit about who we are. So again, we're Saturday AM. We're the world's most diverse comics anthology. We have an anthology that comes out literally every 2 weeks. Now this year we're not doing that. Actually, let me stop. This year we're not doing that. We actually are going to be going monthly this year. We just had issue 101 come out, but since 2013 we have had an issue come out every 2 weeks. We're really proud of that. A lot of groups, you can tell you who try to do this, that doing that is really hard. We know that. In fact, it's hard for us. We have a secondary magazine called Saturday PM. We've not had nearly the success in producing it consistently as we have with Saturday AM, but it's been a lot of work. We started in 2013. We hit our 100th issue in 2018, 5 years later, and we are just incredibly proud of that. And of course, again, we have a spinoff called Saturday PM. This is what our magazine looks like. You can see that we've had many issues, and of course, you can see just the tenor of the diversity piece of it. Issue 55 was a hallmark issue. It's the debut of Clock Striker, Shonen manga's first Black female lead character. It continues, even though it's not had the consistency in publishing, it continues to be one of our most popular series. And it just goes to show again that diversity is something that, like I said, we believed in it from the very beginning. We're glad to see other people approaching it now. But when we launched, we had people yelling at us and telling us how stupid it was. And the fact that we have a character like Clock Striker that continues to be popular is just amazing. It's just amazing. Issue 100, you can see there in the center, it has some of our biggest series there. Not all of our series. We have some amazing series like Titan King and Spoon and Paradise Down. But these are some of our biggest series: Master Multiplayer World of Ghosts, Soul Beat, Bully Eater, Apple Black, Saigami, Mutton Chop, Clock Striker, and Hammer. And we are super proud to have this anthology coming out consistently with all these original titles exclusively. And of course, on the right, you can see Saturday PM. That is the cover for issue 2, which features artwork and the first original story after Apple Black from the creator and our business partner. He's a partner in Saturday AM, Mr. White Manga himself, Adunze Odogogo. We're super proud of this new series he's got called Bakasi. You will find it in the issues of Saturday PM coming soon. So we're super excited to create Saturday PM. If Saturday AM is shonen manga, like Weekly Shonen Jump, then Saturday PM is seinen manga, like Weekly Young Jump. And once again, diversity is a hallmark of that property. We also have a number of graphic novels on the market. We've got more coming. In fact, Spoon Volume 1, Paradise Down Volume 1, Titan King Volume 1 are all coming. I think what's most important for us to discuss right now, however, is a really simple fact, that these graphic novels are going to soon be in your local bookstore. So again, we're happy to see big companies jumping into this. But I got to tell you, we've been planning for this for some time. And we intend to get there and compete. We just recently were presenting at Comics Pro, the big international retail conference for comic books, and the response to Saturday AM was through the roof. And so very soon you will see some of these graphic novels in your local comic book store, and we are super excited to be a part of that. Super excited to grow our brand in that way. So if you love Viz and you love Shonen Jump, just stay tuned. We're coming. Now, March Art Madness has a pretty amazing legacy. We have been able to bring a lot of amazing creators to the fold. Our first year, Miles O'Brien won from the United States. We're incredibly talented artists. The second year was William Peterson from Sweden. And our third year last year was Bailey Boutel. You can see his artwork there on the right. That's some of the Saturday M characters. He did a great illustration of Saturday M characters. Bailey is just a monster. We hope to work with him again. But one of the great things about this tournament is that people like Bailey, who really had not taken art super seriously, found their voice in this tournament. So this tournament for us is really special because it helps to bring more and more creators the sort of exposure, the sort of experience, the sort of pressure and challenge that helps them become a stronger creator. So we're really proud of the work that Bailey did last year and of all the previous creators. And we're super proud this year of what you guys are going to be seeing here in a few minutes. So if you haven't been following along, let me give you guys a couple of important dates. This year is a really unique year for us because we've got over 30 staff and creators helping to manage this year's tournament. That does not help make it be any easier. Lord knows it is hard when you're dealing with 60 plus creators who are new to our workload and to this whole process. It makes it tough. But beyond that, we try to structure this, and this year by having more people helping us, we hope to have this event be more expansive, more unique, more special than in previous years. The tournament began on March 11th, which was last Monday. We have live shows that unfortunately tonight, we're doing it tonight, but normally they'll be Saturday nights. We had some delays on Friday with some of the art coming in, and so that unfortunately put a bit of a stomp for us for being able to get where we wanted to. And then we have a special announcement. We are now going to be taking March Art Madness forward. We talked about this last year, but I want you guys to know that we've seen such incredible response this year to March Art Madness, the pre-tournament that we did as well, that came in January, February, that we are now going to be turning this into a regular league. We tried to do this last year. Again, we had a lot of stuff on our plate, but now that the brand will be in stores around the world, we feel very, very strong about doing this as a regular event. And so you will soon be able to enjoy a year-long experience if you're an artist and you want to participate. And it'll be called Fan Art Fridays. It's going to begin in August, and it will run consistently throughout the year. Of course, March Art Madness will continue to be our big event, our Super Bowl, but Fan Art Fridays will be the event that actually takes you up and gets you prepared for the big tournament where you can win the big stuff like the iPad and so forth. This year we got special things happening. We've got a lot of different themes. Every week they create a new theme. This year we're going to be introducing some new things we've never done before, like mythological, monsters, character swaps, comic pages. We also have this great thing called ranking points, where creators who have just turned in extraordinary work each week will be ranked, and that will give them certain abilities in the next week. So really excited about that, and you guys will be seeing more of that beginning next round. That's not this first round. Of course, all of this is in preparation, or the grand prize of this at least, to get people a Apple iPad with the Apple Pencil. We have done this consistently for the last 2 years, and we'll be doing it again this year. We have other prizes as well that'll be happening. We're going to be promoting a lot of those soon, but this is a really big thing for us. We want creators to be incentivized to continue to grow their art. That's what makes us special, is being in a position to not just discover that you're a good artist and compete against other really good artists, but to be rewarded with more tools to help you create more content. We would love to see creators who came through March Art Madness one day create content for Saturday AM, Saturday PM, or even one of the other companies that are out there. It just would make us feel like we've done what we set out to do, which is to inspire and empower more and more diverse voices from around the world. So with that being said, we are about to get started. Now, we've got 4 teams, folks. It's 4 teams. And what that means, of course, is that Team Saigami, Team Clock Striker, Team Apple Black, and Team Bully Eater, these are the 4 teams. Now, we have people who can judge the event. They can judge it in terms of we have the public votes. we have our staff votes, and then we have our core votes, and those with judges, and those are ranked. So with that being said, we have gotten a number of folks in, and so we are super excited about this, and we're about ready to get started. So hopefully you guys are ready. We're gonna go ahead and get shooting into this. What we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about each art piece, give our thoughts on it, and then we'll go from there. So with that being said, Jeyodin, you ready?
Let's do it.
All right. You ready? Oh, I forgot everybody who's on this call. You ready, Jeffrey?
I believe I am.
Ladies and gentlemen, with that level of excitement, it's ready to happen. And then just to make it even more special, just to get you extra ramped up, we go from that excitement level to Stephen Alcaide. Stephen, how excited are you?
Let's do this.
Right. All right. Okay. All right. Team Saigami had the following matchup. It was Monkey Monk versus DCreationist. Now, this is Monkey Monk's pick. Now, Kiara Reddy, who is Monkey Monk, and folks, I'm going to butcher some of these Instagram names. I apologize, but the good news is that you can follow these folks whenever you'd like and go check out the rest of their artwork. We hope you will. We hope you'll follow these folks because they really are, all of them, extraordinary artists, good people. Show them some love and let them know that you want to see them continue to get better. Let me start with you, Stephen. What did you make of Monkey Monk? What did you make of this image?
Fantastic usage of color. I love the fact that the characters are like the boy shape is quite interesting. They're slightly aged up too, which is always a positive in my opinion. Overall, love this piece.
Jay, what about you?
Two good things, two bad things, or am I just talking them?
Just give us a real quick assessment.
I really like the colors. I really like actually all of the highlights. They're subtle, but they're there, and it's really cool. I also like the thickness of their thighs. I really like this picture a lot. I think it looks really cool. Definitely the colors that stood out to me the most.
All right, Jeffrey, what did you make of this?
I like this picture too. It had really great colors. They contrast well. The contour lines are really good. The figures, they're interesting to say the least, but overall, yeah, really great image.
So, yeah, Kiara Reddy is from South Africa. I have been a fan of her. She's participated in, I believe, certainly one other March Art Madness, but I want to say she's been in two other March Art Madnesses. So this is her third time at this. I really, she's a ranked artist. She's someone that we went into this tournament thinking could be a top artist, and I see no reason not to think that that's the case. Hands down, I think that one of the things that will be interesting here is, what I love about this piece is what Jay said, the thickness of the characters. I think that, as I said before, one of the challenges that we see so frequently from young artists is appreciating and adopting diverse body styles. And the fact that she's just giving these characters agency, we know who these characters are, they're aged up, which is perfectly fine in terms of the rules. By the way, I forgot to say, Team Saigami was taking 90s cartoons. So the theme for this group is 90s cartoons. So you'll see a lot of cartoons from the 90s represented here. But yeah, I thought this was a great piece as well. I'm without question, it's the color work that I think makes this pop, because you could have gone very flat color with this, and this fits just that sense of weight. The characters feel like they've got just purpose and weight and just and definition, and I really love it. The expression on their faces are great as well, and one thing that Kiara has always done excellently, she's got limited line work, so you don't see 1,000 lines to represent something. These are muscular characters, and they don't need to have 1,000 muscle joints shown. She's able to provide the definition with as simple line work as possible. So really strong image here. Next up, we have DCreationist. This is who she was going up against. They took a 90s cartoon approach by giving us several characters from the 90s era. You can see Dexter, Jesus Christ, I don't remember half these characters, but Dexter, Batman. Jay, you're a resident cartoon fan. Who are all these characters?
That's Mandark in the background. I thought that was Dexter also in the background, just like older, as well as also in the front. But I mean, I could be wrong about that. I know the other one is Johnny Bravo, the Joker, and Batman. And I like this picture too. I think I guess the ambition of having all those characters, I thought that was really awesome. I wish that maybe the colors were a little bit better, but other than that, I mean, I really like all their poses and stuff, like the Batman and the Dexter. It's strange to see them running next to each other, but it's also very interesting. So
okay, so I tell you what, guys, just to make this go faster, I'm just going to call on 2 people per art. So some of you will not comment on other art, but obviously we have your votes, so we know what you guys did. What, Jeffrey, I'm going to go to you for this. What did you make of this piece from DCreationist?
The colors are pretty good. The poses are right too. I think the composition is a little bit too centric, and the line work's a little bit too scratchy.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's not too bad overall. Also, the guy from Johnny Bravo in the back over there is a little jarring, but overall it's not too bad.
Well, yeah, I think for me, I think that this piece, this artist, I think, as Jay said, they were swinging for the fences here. They wanted to go around. I mean, one of the things, folks, with this competition is that everyone is able to choose what they're going to draw. So we give them like a very general theme, and then it's up to them to determine how to put that theme together to compete against the other artists. They don't know what the other artist is going to do, except that it's going to be within the same theme. So again, like real life, this is where your artwork really has to shine, because you have to, it's not just about being a good artist, it's about being clever and really thinking about what would make the most successful illustration. I think as everyone said, this piece is very crowded. DCreationist is exact opposite of Moki Monk, for example, where he has a lot of line work. So I can see every crevice, whether it's accurate or not, on these characters' bodies and costumes and so forth. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that when you've got a lot of that and the characters still lack some consistency and cohesion. I mean, Batman anatomically, I'm not quite sure what's going on with his legs down at the bottom. Dexter looks quite odd as well. I don't know the characters' names here. So, Johnny Bravo is certainly big, but I don't know if he comes across quite well, because I've never seen a character with that many abs in my life. And I say that as somebody who has one ab. So yeah, this is an interesting piece. I thought the Joker actually was one of the best pieces up here. I thought the Joker looked appropriately menacing. The background's not particularly great either. I don't know why there's speed lines on it. So, in terms of the 2 pieces, I think, for me, clearly, Kiara Moki Monk had by far the stronger piece. But I do applaud DCreationist for trying to do something complex by having so many characters in here, so many characters with different styles as well. So, so if we had to do just a quick vote on this matchup amongst the 3 of us, does anyone have DCreationist beating Monkey Monk? Is everyone here for Monkey Monk?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Steven and Jeffrey?
Yes, Monkey Monk.
All right. Okay. Well, there we go. So Monkey Monk wins his first match. Now, folks, tomorrow we will have the actual votes lined up with all of our creators and staff, as well as the votes that we have from you, the fans. Our votes are weighted, in particular because we had a lot of votes that came in late, a lot of artwork, that came in late. So some artists will have some penalties and such, but you'll have a chance to see exactly who all finished up tomorrow. But tonight does give you a fairly good picture of who will advance into the next round. Next up from Team Saigami, we have Real Anatrix. Now, I just want to say real quick about this young artist. We discovered him. He's been a part of Saturday AM as a fan for some time. He's submitted artwork to us for some time. just an interesting young man across the board. And one thing I really like about him more than anything is that he has stayed with this desire to draw. We remember he's young, and therefore I remember him when he was getting started. He would contact us, reach out to us, and such. And he, artistically, he had a little ways to go. He has stayed with it. He has pushed and pushed and pushed, and I've seen his work recently, and I'm really impressed with this young man. He's continued to grow, and his work is just it's a pleasure to see him growing. It's a pleasure to have known him this long and see him grow this much. So this is Real Anatrix. This is Yu Yu Hakusho, I believe, and I'm going to throw it to you first. I forgot who didn't speak last time. Was it Jeffrey or Steven? Steven, you didn't speak last time. What do you make of this piece, Steven?
I personally very much enjoy it. Yu Yu Hakusho, that's an instant win for me. Fantastic uses of colors. The action poses are very dynamic. I like good perspective. Yeah, it's I could see myself having like a poster of this.
Wow. All right, Real Anatrix, you need to. I think his young man's name is Latrine. Maybe you can make a poster of this, man. You got somebody who would actually buy it from you. I'm going to go to Jay, who, of course, one of our seasoned artists. Jay, what do you make of this?
I love this image. I love Yu Yu Hakusho, and when I saw this, I was like, yes. It's very vibrant. I think that's probably the reason why I like it so much. The colors. I really like also the I mean, I don't know. There's so many cool things. I like the poses, obviously. I like the way that Toguro in the background is kind of blurred. Just this entire piece overall, it was really good. There's still a few anatomy things that are kind of off, but you can let that go just from feeling like the energy that he had while drawing this, and I think it really is a good picture.
Yeah, I agree. I think that this is one of those images that, well, first of all, again, I mean, having remembered seeing this artist over the last several years, this is an artist I can look at and I can tell that he's just grown dramatically. Are there issues regarding the anatomy and the characters actually all come together perfectly? The answer is no. There's a lot of things here that don't quite fit, and this is just an area where this young man has showcased, if we've seen his work, exhibit these sort of issues before. But again, having seen his artwork in the past, I can say that he's improved dramatically, though, in terms of capturing enough of a symmetry between what he's trying to do and what it should look like, to where what it's now starting to become is a style. I can say, again, as someone who's done this for a long time as a publisher, that I can actually tell when I see Latrine's artwork. That's not always the case with a lot of artists, but in Latrine's case, some of the mistakes, if you will, are starting to become, they're starting to work artistically because he's still able to sell the image. And then beyond that, it's really working in terms of me recognizing who he is as an artist. So great piece, totally agree. His competition this round was Apollonia 930. This is yet again another Powerpuff Girls image. I do not know these characters, so I will not comment on them. But let me go first to Goeffrey Jean-Lous. Jeffrey, what did you make of this piece?
I think the theme of it is actually really nice, along with the composition of it. Just nice colors, some pretty good shading. I think Mojo is, I don't exactly I think that's his cape, but I think it's just a little bit over rippled. But yeah, it's not too bad.
Jay, I'm gonna always be calling on you, Jay. What did you make of this? Jay. Well, maybe I won't call on Jay for this. Steven, what did you make of this piece?
Yeah, overall, it's very ambitious. I like the way that I like their uses of angle. Basically they're using a low angle, which is not very easy, and their composition uses of anatomy is fairly secure.
Hmm.
Overall, I like the colors, very dark, like cool in tone. I approve of this one.
Yeah, so look, I think that this is a piece that is ambitious. I think I think as everyone indicated, the angle of this is unique. He's this artist. I don't know if it's he or she, by the way, but this artist is going for something kind of interesting where they arrange the artwork in a way to where it's got that sort of angle where the hands are in the foreground and then in the background everything else is emanating from it. And it's also an interesting symmetry because we see the professor at the bottom and then the whatever the monkey thing's name is at the top. And so both of them are kind of framing what's happening in the center. I think kind of like DCreationist piece, this is an image where there's a lot of complexity here because of those dynamic angles, and therefore it doesn't quite work for me. So I think the professor comes off the best here with the hands in the foreground and then him kind of going backward. I think that actually works quite well artistically. I think the three Powerpuff Girls don't quite come across that well. Some of their anatomy is way off. We talked about thickness, for example, from Chiara Reddy's piece at the very beginning. They're the young lady in the green. Like, I'm not even sure. Like, that's I don't know what's going on with that leg. That's an interesting leg there. But then likewise, you've got what you guys say the name? The monkey's name was Momo, or what's his name? I never watched it.
Mojo Jojo.
Mojo Jojo.
Mojo Jojo. Okay, well, he looks interesting, but I don't know what's going on underneath that. That's not a cape. That's just like a squiggle line thing. So don't know why that would be the case there. You could have it fade out. Again, artistically, understanding how to use tools and so forth between color and framing, you could make that character just be more of a superimposed image in the background where you don't have to fill in the rest of him, but it kind of, deteriorates into the background in its own way. This with the squiggle lines makes it just look worse because it doesn't make any sense. I don't feel like he is literally superimposed in the background. Maybe a color tint could have allowed him to be, for you visually to realize that he's not really there, but instead we've got full color. We've got him, lording over these girls. So it's just bizarre. I think, again, it's an ambitious piece that artistically the artist is not quite able to fulfill. With that being said, between Real Anatrix and Apollonia, who you guys think won this round? Jay, since you didn't speak last time, Jay, speak up.
The other one, not Apollonia. The other one is the one I liked a lot.
Real Anatrix. It's on the screen right now. Real Anatrix.
Yes.
So you
that's the one I want. Yes, that
Anyone
one.
else disagree with that? Steven, Jeffrey?
Yeah, definitely Real Anatrix.
All right. Well, then I agree. I approve that. I believe Real Anatrix just delivered perfectly on that one. And so, and based on what I can see of the fan votes, it looks that way as well. Moki Monk and Real Anatrix both exceedingly are in the pole position through fan votes as well. Next up, we have a match between Teaspoon Arts and Nat HQ ADT. First is Teaspoon Arts here with a piece that is Daria. I don't know if some of you guys remember Daria. I vaguely remember it. Again, I was in college when this was on. But, hey, it seems kind of interesting. What do you make of this? Let's go with you, Jeffrey, because you strike me as Daria as a male. What do you make of this?
I don't know how to feel about that comment. You're probably
Daria,
right.
Daria didn't have a lot of energy in life, and that is you. But go ahead.
I mean, I do like it just because it's Daria.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like the only Daria piece that was done for this.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, and also really nice cell shading. Composition is pretty cool. It kind of looks like a cover for a card or like a poster or something. Mm-hmm. And even the figures, they're pretty on point. Yeah, no, I really like it. Everything just seems right.
Okay, Jay, real quickly, what did you make of this?
I liked it a lot. It actually gave me a feeling of the 90s, which I thought was pretty cool. I really like the shell shading, and the colors are just super vibrant. The sick, sad world, I think, is the thing that I like the most. It made it seem more like a poster to me, and I like that the most.
Yeah, so folks, two things on that. Number one, don't believe a word Jay just said. Jay was not alive in the 90s. Jay literally was born 4 years ago. He is
Wow, man.
He's a hyper accelerated baby. That man is a child. So just as an FYI, folks, because I'm the one hosting the video, that's why the image stays on the screen. But if the guys talk, that's why I'm going to limit them just to one or two people talking. Because if one of the guys talks, that's why the screen changes. But they're only speaking a few words, so it shouldn't be too big of a deal. But yes, I think it's a great piece too, and I agree with Jay 100%. I think that, again, we've seen this. I remember Miles O'Brien in particular, our very first year, was the one that really showed other artists that you could take this contest seriously and say, I'm not just going to draw something. I'm going to create art. I'm going to really create art that makes you think, and art that challenges you. And this is a piece that doesn't make you think or challenge you, but it does capture a lot of ideas, and therefore it comes across more like a poster. It's a proper illustration, and not just hey, here's this character on a white background. So I couldn't agree more. TUMBLR did a really, really effective job with this. Next up, their competition, who did very well. We were really, really curious about this artist named Nat Chu _ADT. Who did really well in our pre-tournament this year. He did an amazing Mob Psycho piece. So this artist is like the master of facial expressions and unique, just kind of environments and so forth. So really interesting artist here. Let's see, what do we think here? Let's go with you, Steven. What did you make of this?
It's very interesting to me. This is the reality of the Magic School Bus. It's just like an acid trip, which I very much appreciate about this piece of art. Maybe it makes you think about the entire concept of the show. Yeah, I really do like this one.
Jay, what did you make of this? This is from, again, Nathaniel. He is from Canada. What did you make of this piece?
I actually really like this piece a lot, mainly because of the exaggeration on Miss Frizzle's face. I assume that this is color pencil, in which case, oh my god, that's amazing. I really like this piece. This piece was really cool. I liked it a lot.
So yeah, I'm with everyone else. I am, I'm with everybody else. This is a really amazing piece. It's not as vibrant as the piece from Teaspoon Arts that we just saw, but as Jay said, they're using colored pencils here. Again, the facial expressions are always, for me, with this artist, is just something to behold. I love looking at the art from this artist. I love the idea here of the space bus being in space. The school bus me being in space. I do not know the series, folks. Again, I'm the 90s. I was graduating college and having started my career. So I remember the 90s well from partying standpoint, from a comic book standpoint, outside of Batman, the animated series and stuff like that. I don't. So this is interesting to me. And just so much of this is interesting to me. Much like the public vote, I think this is going to be a very contentious matchup. Who do you guys think advances from this? Who do you guys think? Jay, let's go with you. Who do you think?
I gotta give it up to Magic School Bus. I'm going for Nathan Q.
Nathan Q. What about you, Jeffrey?
I voted for the Dario one.
I wonder why. Steven, what about you?
Teaspoon Arts.
Teaspoon Arts. Wow, we have two Daria and one Nat HQ. I will say as well that I actually did prefer the Daria piece myself. I must admit, the Daria piece, again, as we said earlier, it felt like an actual illustration. It felt like the artist here. A couple of things in this tournament, drawing the characters is really interesting. But drawing the characters and doing something that you intended to do from start to scratch in terms of all the other elements to it, the color, the framing, any extra graphic design pieces like the Six-Sad World, like that anyone can pull all those things off is really extraordinary. So I think this is quite cool. I think this is really great, and it just edges it for me. It just edges Nat HQ. I will say that it is literally, I mean, like literally within the margin of error, 50-50 on the public voting. So don't know how it's going to go tomorrow, but one of these folks will advance and one won't. Next up, this is going to be quite easy, actually. And so this actually may impact, I'm sorry, this is what I meant to say early on. This might actually impact one of the, what happens in some of this tournament, because the reason you keep hearing me say 60 plus is that we have 64 artists. Unfortunately, we had 2 artists who just didn't get their stuff in on time, and then we had some other artists who failed at various things with it. So from a balancing standpoint, it may be the case that a few artists who failed, especially if they failed narrowly, actually still advance. And we'll talk about that later tonight at the end of the show. Flunked Fiction, who we were really looking forward to, did not get their work in on time. We had a very strict cutoff. I was surprised at the number of people. I will say that this year we had more people, despite the fact that we had 2 videos, we had a typed email, we have a private group for these artists, that a number of people got their artwork in some cases 9 hours after the close-off time, which is what made it so difficult for us to get everything set up on time. So, folks, this is one of the things about this tournament, just like in real life, deadlines matter. And if you get your stuff, if you don't get your stuff in on time, it really hurts. Flunked Fiction is super talented. I highly recommend you go check out his page. This artist is really talented, super detailed, and I just consider it a real letdown, both for us and for this artist, that they just didn't plan or get their stuff in effectively. I don't know what happened, but it was very disappointing when they did. So next up, we have Anubis Void. Once again, this is Powerpuff Girls, I think, right? I think it's Powerpuff Girls. Let me go to you, Steven. What did you make of this piece?
I can only describe in one word: powerful, very dynamic, very bombastic. This is poster-worthy art, in my opinion.
What are you, Shaggy? Like Mr. Bombastic, powerful. Like, what are all these different words that kind of are bouncing off of each other, Steven? That was artistic. Okay. Jeyodin, what'd you make of this?
I like this a lot. I really like the fact that they kind of took liberties and gave them powers. Like Bubble has never had water powers, but it makes sense that she would have water powers, and then Blossom would have fire, and Buttercup, whatever the hell she has. I think it looks really cool. Not only that, but also the colors, obviously very vibrant. I really like in the top right and left hand corners, the texture behind the blue, pink, and green. I really like that, and I feel like it kind of brings everything together. If I were to do anything, I would probably change where the green and the blue is on those sides, so that way the green doesn't blend in too much with Mojo Jojo's face. So that's the only thing that I would probably change. But other than that, I really like this picture. I think it looks really cool.
Great. I do not know. Again, I don't know half these characters, so I'm not gonna really gonna comment on that level. Like you said, Bubbles, and like she has a different power set or something. I do not know what Bubbles does.
That's the blue one. The blue one.
Yeah. What's the red hair's name? Red hair girl's name?
The red hair is Blossom. The green one is Buttercup, and the monkey is Mojo Jojo.
So why isn't the red one called like Firestarter or something?
Well, because she usually doesn't have fire powers. They usually don't have any type of powers. They're just, really strong superheroes. So.
Got it.
Don't forget about the dice breath, though.
What's that, Jeffrey?
That's right. They do have ice breath.
But that was only Blossom. She got ice breath like randomly at one point.
Bubbles can scream or something.
Yeah.
I haven't watched the show forever.
Super high pitch.
It was awesome.
For all of you guys watching this, this has been Nerd Hour. Thank you. We tune back in next week where we dissect whether or not Captain Caveman actually is more powerful than Superman. Listen, I think that this piece is interesting. There are a lot of elements at the bottom that don't quite work for me. Again, artistically, this artist is trying to have them look and do certain things that don't quite match. You know, like the pose from who's the girl with the mohawk? Is that you said Buttercup?
Yeah.
Okay, so she like her pose. I totally get the idea, but it doesn't quite work. And then the other one with the water powers, I don't know what's going on with that arm. Like that arm, the elbow actually goes inside. So it's just there's some stuff here that doesn't quite work. But what I will say is that the Mojo looks fantastic. The Mojo looks fantastic with the facial expression, how close up he is. Like unlike the other piece we saw where the character was kind of like superimposed in the background, and it was meant to be kind of like you couldn't tell if he was actually in the image or if he's meant to be kind of like a figurative threat that's overhead of them. This one obviously is figurative, but everything about it looks so good. He dissolves into the background perfectly. Actually, I want to give a shout out to the background. I think the background here is executed really well. Like it's symmetrical as best I can tell. It actually probably isn't, but it seems that way, at least initially. And I love the texture pattern they give to it. So I like this piece a lot. A lot of issues here, but there are some issues here that make me think that if this artist advances, that this artist will have some issues against some of the talent that they'll go up against. That being said, again, hats off to Anubis Void for putting in a good piece. Hats off to him. So. Again, there's really not much to say here. Obviously, Flunk Fiction to get their stuff in. That's really a travesty, but is what it is. Next up, we go to Adrian Art VX. This is Evangelion. Actually, no, this is several things. Evangelion, Trigun, Cowboy Bebop. Now, I know all of these properties. I want to go to Stephen Alcaide. Stephen, what do you make of this?
It's a fanboy's dream in terms of poster-wise. I love the fact that they have a Digimon fighting the Digimon like Ultimate Form, fighting Gus and Ava in the background. I'm not sure about the cross and ill. I'm not sure if that's a reference to Ava or such, but the tie in the foreground, a little distracting, but overall, just very interesting composition.
Mr. Jeyodin, what do you make of this, sir?
I really like all the nostalgia, honestly. The Trigun, the Digimon, the Cowboy Bebop, like everything was just, I don't know. When I looked at this, it just made me really happy. I do think that there are some anatomy issues, especially I think with Tai is probably the weakest out of everything. He's just standing there. He's not doing anything. I wish he was doing a pose, but I feel like it was very ambitious. All of the, trying to put it all together, and I feel like it came out okay, like in terms of like what they were trying to go for, but yeah. So I feel like if Ty had a different pose, it would probably look a lot better. But I like it the way it is.
All right, so I'll just say that this is to me one of the strongest pieces thus far that we've seen. I think the color work here is really strong. I really like the color work in that background with the Cowboy Beat with Spike Spiegel's ship. I'm worried. I think the anatomy, frankly, is right in all the cases. The only anatomy that looks off is, I think her name is Ray, the girl who's a Evangelion pilot. Her arm cross, those arms look a bit. They don't look quite long enough to.
Yeah, that's basically what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that anatomy's off, but I mean that's the one thing. I mean everything else is fantastic. Trigun looks great. Spike Spiegel looks really good. This is a really good piece. This is Asuka. Sorry, Asuka. This is a great piece. I thoroughly enjoyed this. Next up, they're going up against Brojack. Now, folks, I just want to say real quickly, this image was slightly compressed because we have to do some trickery when we put stuff into our matchup presentation on our website. So this is the file as intended. I'll be honest. I'm not saying this to be rude, but it doesn't. I don't think it makes a great difference here, but we do want to probably try to respect the artists who got the stuff in on time and and make sure we present it as intended. But I think the issues here were the issues even when the file was slightly shortened. Let me, Mr. Goeffrey Jean-Louis, since you're kind of our expert, I feel like, on Powerpuff Girls. What do you feel like with this one, sir?
I kind of like the idea, like how they put that Powerpuff Girls streamline. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but the way that the background is, it's Powerpuff Girls related, and I thought that was kind of nice. Uh, the posing pretty off. Yeah. Not to me, but it's kind of like the only thing I really like about it.
Okay, all right. Jay, what did you make of this?
I think it looks really bright. I like exactly like what Jeffrey said. The background, it does remind me of the opening scene. I think Mojo being a huge like monkey with legs like that, like I think that's a cool concept, but I think that there's definitely some issues with this image that probably could have been worked out through. But yeah, so.
Yeah, so let me say, first of all, let me give a shout out to Brojack X, who is, I think, a fantastic artist. I think, this artist, this is the first time I think we've seen this artist, but I may be mistaken. They have participated in our pre-March Madness this year in January, February, turned in a great piece with Paradise Down, I think, and then another piece I can't remember exactly. Not Paradise Down, sorry. What's it called? Promised Neverland. And then another piece that was really interesting as well, Saturday AM piece. This artist has a style. It's kind of like Latrine Lunford. He has a style. It's interesting. I think like Latrine Lunford, I think there are elements where his style works really well and will clearly be elements that he will be known for. And there's other elements where his style has got to continue to evolve. So I think this tournament is really good for him to be a part of. I think this piece has pieces that are okay, and it's got a lot of pieces that aren't. I think, again, and part of it, frankly, I don't quite know where it's a style and where it's him trying to mimic the Powerpuff Girl aesthetic. Either way, what I can say is that when you look at this, I love the color on it. I think the color is really good, and I love the Mojo. I guess his name is again Mojo. I like the way he looks, even though his legs are a little odd. But I don't even know if he's supposed to have legs. I don't know if that's a thing that Daryl did, Brojack did, or if that's something that the character actually has in the cartoon. But those are, to me, the strongest thing: the color, the positioning, and the monkey. Once you get to the girls, I think is where it falls apart. I think the girls are not illustrated the best. I think that their anatomy is all over the place. I think the pose where the young girl's jumping forward, I mean, that's just a mess. I don't know where her butt is, frankly. I hate to say it like that, but I don't quite know where her butt is. The leg is up. Her expression is appropriately angry, jumping in for the thing, but it's like all the characters kind of are gigantic-eyed and round face. And again, I don't know if that's a style based on what I remember seeing of Daryl's work in the pre-tournament, which worked really well, but he did a unique thing with it where the camera was always kind of strange. So either way, it's interesting, but I think it's got enough holes in it to where I think that the piece that Adrian did, which was just, again, fairly flawless, I think it's not much of a fight there when it comes to these two artists. To me, Adrian takes this round, even though hats off to Brojack for being our first artist from the UK so far in this year's tournament. We've had, by the way, folks, a creator from Nigeria, 2 creators from Canada. The rest have been from the United States thus far. Adrian Art VX is also from the United States. Does anyone disagree regarding Adrian taking this match?
Nope.
Not at all.
All right. Okay, all right. And unfortunately, it does appear to be the case that the public has spoken as well. Overwhelmingly, Adrian has succeeded in this matchup. So we shall get final results tomorrow, but that's where we are right now. Next up, our first artist from Israel. I'm so excited about this. Yerushalmi.art. He's our first artist ever from Israel. So excited about this. And this is a really interesting piece. I don't know what the hell it is, but I know it's something. Jay, I feel like you know what this is. What is this, Jay?
That's Hades from the Hercules movie in Disney. And every time he got angry, he would always turn red. I thought this piece looked really, really cool. Especially because it looks like it's traditionally colored, like either watercolor, I would assume, or maybe yeah, probably watercolor. I don't think it's markers, but I mean, if it is markers, then awesome sauce. But I liked it a lot. I thought this looked really cool. I definitely got the emotion. You know, definitely rendered it very well. It looks very cartoony. I liked it a lot. It was a really cool image.
All right, so let me go to Steven. Steven, what did you make of this?
I personally really do enjoy it. Like Hades, I feel doesn't get enough love within like the Disney fandom, and good uses of color. I love the fact is this is in pencil. I do like that. Overall, really cool.
Yeah, one of the sponsors for this year's tournament, I think I'm not sure if we've officially announced it yet or will officially announce it, but they are traditional. They make markers and so forth, so we'll be announcing them soon. And this piece, hopefully, we'll be announcing them soon. And this piece, I couldn't agree more. I think they would fall in love with this piece. This is an excellent use of markers or color pencil. That flame is just gorgeous. So gorgeous. I'm really, really struck with how strong this image is. His competitor is Surge Spark. So whereas this young man was from Israel, Surge Spark, I believe is from the U.S. I'll get confirmation of that here in a minute. But while I'm pulling it together, Jeffrey, tell us about Surge Spark. What did you make of this piece, which is yet again Powerpuff Girls, Jeffrey? Jeffrey, you are the Powerpuff Girl king.
Apparently so. I really like this. I really like it. Just because it's a lot of things this time, because it's got like villains from, like, might be every villain. Probably, yeah. I think it is every villain from the series, and it's a nice heroic pose that the girls have. Like how Blossom is carrying that octopus doll that she has, and yeah, it's really cool piece, really cool composition. The buildings could have used a bit more of ruler, I guess, but overall pretty great.
Mr. Jeyodin, sir, what did you make of this?
This actually was one of my favorite pieces, not only because I actually do recognize all of those villains. I remember when they actually had that gigantic Powerpuff Girls mech suit in the background. And I don't know, it was really cool to look at this, and I liked it a lot. I do love the poses in the front, exactly like what Jeffrey said. You know, very cool heroic poses. I wish that I don't know. I really like this image a lot. You know, all of the colors are pretty vibrant. You know, the only thing I would probably say is maybe add some more stars, so it looks a little bit more, you know, like stars in the background. But you know, I feel like it was going for a certain style, and I feel like it definitely accomplished it. So I like it a lot.
Yeah, I think, you know, so it's funny to hear you say that. I think this is a, so, you know, I talked earlier about sketch work and Kiara Reddy, who I think is just a master, even though she's very young, at doing simple line work. I think this is, I think this one right here is a lot of, this is very sketchy. This is very sketchy. So if this had been just black and white, like I told, you know, like it would be like, oh, okay, yeah, this is just something he sketched, you know, at work or sketched, you know, when he had some time, you know, this is because it has that sort of sketch feel to it, right? As you guys indicated with the backgrounds just aren't even really a factor. Like they're so unrealistic. I don't know. And again, I'm not a fan of the cartoon, so I don't know if this is a result of the cartoon. Like I honestly do not know. But what I can say is that it is so sketchy that it's just hard for me to connect with this as much as I would have liked to. This artist is amazing. If you look at their Instagram page, and we hope that you will, this artist is really talented. If you're comparing both pieces, to me, the other piece is just far more dynamic than this piece. But there's a lot about this piece that I love. I love the fact that every character, and I didn't know these were all real characters, so I don't know anything about Powerpuff Girls. Every character, though, feels well represented. The Powerpuff Girls themselves look, obviously they're adult versions, but they look very well represented. I love the kind of mecha Powerpuff Girl at the top. I like this one a lot as well. I love the creature she's punching. I really like that image because that character, there's facial expressions that are just evident, even though he's got like a gazillion eyeballs. It's tight. This is a tight one because you've got two artists who are working in pencil, and one artist I feel like did a superior coloring job, even though the image there's not much more to the image, but the coloring job I think on Yerashami Art's image is just to die for. And I think that the line work, I mean, like every piece of his face and the hands and everything is just rendered perfectly. Like I can't find fault with this image. Whereas the other image from Surge Spark, there are faults here I can find. The background, the stars. Again, I don't know if it's stylistic or what. Some of the character images, like the leg is super thin on the girl in the blue dress. There's some stuff here that doesn't quite fit. But I still can't knock the fact that this artist is super talented. Super talented. Like, I'd love to see this artist do more stuff. What do you guys think?
I really like this piece. I really like the Hades piece as well. The only reason why I would go for this one is more like a nostalgia factor for me.
That's not really a great reason, but thank you. Well, I like it because
it gives me a good feeling because I look at I recognize all of these characters. So, I mean, it gives me a good feeling. I'm like, oh, okay, I like the fact that they had used their style and added it to, let's say, Blossom, for example. I mean, she doesn't technically look like that. I mean, obviously she's older right here, but I really like that, the fact that she did that. Not only that, but also the sketchiness I like personally. So that's the reason why I would look at this.
And I'm not trying to be funny, but like that's all that matters.
Yes,
is that you like that other thing. Like I don't gotta remember these are artists who are competing for something, so I don't want to give them the impression that we're making judgments because you like something as a kid. Let's talk about the art. That's why you guys are here. Talk about the art and only the art. And from that standpoint, and again, I couldn't agree with you more about artistically some of the things that he does correctly. I will say one other thing I noticed though, again, because of the sketchiness, right? Because when you go sketchy, it means that you kind of give definitions on the things that don't necessarily need to be there. I can't help but notice that the girls, except for the girl in the middle, all have their panty lines defined. I just think that's so bizarre on a sketch. It's like what? Like they all have their panty line determined. I don't know if their dresses are that skin tight or what, but that was fascinating to me. Jeffrey, what'd you make? Which one do you think is kind of the marquee one piece?
Well, I think the Hades piece is technically better. I like Surge Sparks image more just because it's a little bit more complex. It's just not as simple, and that's mostly why.
Got it. Steven, what about you?
The Hades drawing is more polished overall. If the Powerpuff Girls drawing were a little bit more finished, I would give it to this one, but I have to go with Hades.
Yeah, I'll say this. So we're gonna have to look at a variety of things here. I don't know who got their work in on time, so I'm sure there'll possibly be some issues here regarding docked points. Also, Yerashami Art, as someone pointed out, I forgot about that. They did not put their they didn't put the together. They should have cropped that image. We can see like the borders of the image and so forth, and that's something we said to them that they needed to fix. So that potentially could be a dock point as well for Yerashami Art. So I got to look at those things. But I do concur that this is a tough one, and so do the fans. The fan vote. It's not as close as the other ones. Yerashami has a slight lead, but certainly there's some stuff there. We'll look at all our core team art voters as well, and our staff, see where it nets out. But folks, this was a nail biter. This one's a nail biter. All right, let's keep going here. Ten's artwork is going up against Ajani. 10 is from Mexico, and he got his work in late, so you can definitely have some dock points there. But that's not what we're looking at. We're looking at the art here. What did you make of this? Jeyodin.
This is actually Dexter from the future, one of the movies that he had when he was traveling through, and I really like this a lot. It looks traditionally drawn. It could have been done digitally, but I really like the fact that it looks like pastel, like charcoal utensils, and I thought that was really cool, especially the lighting effect on the end of his tool wrench right there. And I thought that was I don't know, I like this image a lot. I thought it was really cool. The lighting, especially, I like the blue lighting reflecting on his body and also his muscles and stuff. I thought that was really cool. I like this image a lot.
All right, Steven, what did you make of this? Quickly.
Really cool. Just wish that the background colors wouldn't overwhelm the foreground.
Okay, all right. So next, he's going up against Ajani. Now Ajani is from the United States. Folks, again, this was this group was all about 90s cartoons. Jeffrey, what does this look like to you?
Yeah, I was kind of confused about that myself because I didn't know they were allowed to draw Sagami, but
this is our series Sagami, and so I don't, I have to look and see how old Mr. Ajani is. Something tells me he's very young, because I've noticed that young people do not read instructions at all. I've seen this repeatedly, and the instructions were laid out, as I said before. I did 2 videos. We have a private group for these guys. Wrote an email, and I saw this and just was like, I just couldn't believe it. I was like, how in the world? So then we had on our website, how they made this jump is beyond me. But yeah, it's Sagami. So does anyone want to comment on the Sagami piece? I mean, it's she's walking down steps with Sean and Reggie. Anybody want to comment on this?
I think in the future, when we have cartoons, it'll be pretty awesome to see this pop up in another contest.
Yeah, but not in a 90s cartoon. But yeah, agreed. All right. Well, so look, it's an interesting piece. It's an interesting piece. I think clearly at this point, Martin 10's artwork is going to advance here. Now Martin got his work in late too, so this just goes to show you just how dicey this can get and how lucky some people get. Martin got his work in very late. In fact, his artwork, he actually said he uploaded a different, like a more expanded version of this. He had to cut it short just to get it in on time. I think even this image looks like it's kind of foggy and blurry, which makes me think that he took a picture. He did this traditional and then took a picture with a cell phone. I don't know this to be the case, but either way, it looks a little blurry. But I do think, again, that yes, the craftsmanship. Martin has participated in an event with us before, March Madness before, and he did a great Apple Black. It's still one of my favorite Apple Black fan art images I've ever seen. So his artwork is very clean. I think Martin could go far if he's able to get his stuff in on time. I think he'd go far because Martin has tremendous talent. I didn't know Future Dexter. I've never watched Dexter cartoon, but this does seem appropriately badass. So much like the public vote, I'm pretty confident Martin will get by this round due to the other person's just inability to follow the rules here. Does anyone disagree with that?
Nope.
No one's here pulling for Johnny. Hey, this is not a bad piece, but the steps make it a little difficult. I don't feel like the characters, feel like they're actually on steps. I just feel like they're kind of on a different plane, kind of like they used to do with old isometric 2D video games. But still, I want to give credit here for the lighting towards the back, and just the clothes look appropriately unique for each of the characters, except for Ayumi. I think Ayumi just looks kind of bizarre. I don't know why she's got a top hat on. But regardless, it's an interesting piece, but unfortunately, it's just off entirely. Anyone else? Any other comments? Okay. Next up, final match of Team Sagami. JT Lucas versus Sol Art. JT Lucas was a finalist last year. So he came into this year's competition as a ranked artist. This is his piece. I don't know what it is. Who knows what this is? Jay, what is this?
That's Courage the Cowardly Dog dressed up like Mojo Jojo, and is that, I want to say, I know what that is, but that's Fluffy Lumpkins from Powerpuff Girls, right? If I'm not mistaken. Anyway, I like it a lot. I think definitely the colors look amazing. The action, them falling down with a bunch of other stuff, and I thought it was really cool that they're dressing up like other Cartoon Network characters. Yeah, well,
that's not. Isn't that Stimpy from Ren and Stimpy or no?
Ren and Yeah, it probably is. I don't know. Maybe he's dressed up like the Flumpy Lunkins from Powerpuff Girls. That's probably what is going on.
Okay. Jeffrey, what'd you make of this?
This place is actually really, really good. The line work's on point. The coloring and shading is really, really good. I don't mean, honestly, even the colors are great. I guess I wish that the background pink may have contrasted a little bit more with Courage, but overall, yeah, another really great piece.
Yeah, totally agree. All right, so his competition is Soul Art. And this is, it took me a minute when I first got this artwork in. I believe this is the main guy from, and I'm going to go to you, Stephen Alcaide. What did you make of this piece?
Hand kill. That's a really like. I love the fact that it's hand kill. The color work needs a little bit of work in the anime as well, but yeah, it's interesting.
Jay, what did you make of Hank Hill here?
I thought that the lighting was a little bit too like harsh. I would say I would definitely bring it back. And also the yellow line kind of throws me off. But other than that, I really like his facial expression. It looks like Hank Hill. I thought that was really cool. It made me chuckle when I first saw it. And I'm not sure what's going on in the background. That kind of throws me off. But yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting piece. I mean, I don't dislike this piece. I think it's interesting. I think there's a mastery of some of the things they're doing here. I like the fact that something that I tell our designers all the time about, appropriately, making sure that your work is not overwhelmed by stuff. And I think here he's got a lot of stuff going on, but it never feels overwhelmed. He's got the border around the Hank Hill character so that he's not impacted by some of the things happening around him, the weird squiggly lines. I agree. They don't make any sense, but it's a pattern. It's a pattern that doesn't hurt or harm the image. It makes the image more interesting. I think this is an interesting piece. That being said, I think the JT Lucas piece is just levels beyond that piece. And by the way, we did get confirmation that's Stimpy dressed as Fuzzy Bubble Butt or something like that. So there you go. So we all in agreement that JT Lucas takes us round?
Yep.
Yeah. So 2 Americans, and I feel like JT Lucas in this particular case really brought it. Saw Art again. I want to give him a shout out though for doing something really unique and interesting with this piece. Do like the I mean, like I said, the piece doesn't not work for me at all. I mean, there's a slight weird anatomy thing with his arm going in there, but again, I don't know how he created this piece. If he painted it, I mean, it feels like he painted it, but this is an interesting piece, and this is a piece that against another type of competition could have actually got him through. So interesting piece, Saul Art. Really interesting piece. Hats off to you for trying something unique like that. Okay, so folks, just to recap. We had Mucky Monk, which was our very first image from South Africa. It's Kiara Reddy. She appears to have won that match against DCreationist. Next up was Real Anatrix. He won that match against Apollonia, apparently at least. We have a kind of a toss-up with Teaspoon Arts and Nat HQ. Teaspoon Arts from the U.S., Nat HQ from Canada. By the way, Real Anatrix is from Canada as well. Flunked Fiction, because they did not get their artwork in on time. That round is going to go towards Anubis Void. And then Adrian Art VX appears to have beaten Brojack X. It's a toss-up between Yerushalmi Art from Israel versus Surge Spark. Tin's artwork versus Ajani. Appears to be Tin's artwork because Ajani did not follow the rules. And last but not least, JT Lucas, which we showed you guys here, apparently took this round pretty convincingly, as did with the public, versus Saul Art. So that is this first set of this first team. We're going to dig now into our next team. And to do that, of course, we need to back out a little and pull up some of these other series and so forth. So give us a moment as we get things set with that. If you guys want to take a moment to grab a drink, use the bathroom, you can do that. We're going to prep and get everything ready to go for this next group here. So just bear with us just a moment. Okay. That group will be Apple Black, and the theme for these will be superheroes. So we're getting these all pulled up. How many of you guys saw Captain Marvel last weekend? Did everybody see that?
I was gonna go watch it with my wife. Hopefully, sometime next week.
No, you haven't seen it. You still haven't seen it.
Unfortunately, no.
Oh, Jay. Oh, Jay.
I'm waiting for my wife, man. How can I not do this without her? It's like, come on.
I think I speak for all of us when I say easily.
I'm in love. That's what I am. Leave me alone.
So Lexi Rue has asked about America. Well, folks, I did. So Lexi, I did answer that. I said it's America. It's the United States of America. When I mentioned Canada, we had a couple people from Canada. We had one person from Mexico. So if you want to say North America, you can say that as well. But we've had at this point 2 Canadians, several Americans, and 1 artist from Mexico. We've also had an artist from Israel. And as of now, that's been, and then 1 artist from South Africa. And that has been everyone from that. All right. So as we get ready to go here, we're now starting up Team Apple Black. The theme for this was superheroes. We have some amazing creators in this group. We had 2 ranked artists yet again. One artist being Cyan Art, who is actually new. She had never participated with us before, but she, just on the strength of her ability, we were like, this artist is going to be really difficult to beat. And then likewise, we had another artist in this group, which was Monitor Comics, also new, having discovered that artist during our pre-March Art Madness. So everybody ready? Jeffrey? You ready, Jeffrey? Well, I think Jeffrey might be using the bathroom. Steven, you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, there you go. There we go. Look at the Steven. Actually ready on that time. All right. Well, then let's get going here, folks. Cyan Arts, superheroes. This is Blade. I know that. What did you make of this piece, Jay?
I really like this piece a lot. I love the rain. I love the small effects in the background on like the water. It looks like I did not know immediately who this was. So because of that, I would say that's kind of a bad thing. But I mean, you know, everything else is absolutely incredible. I mean, this looks amazing.
Jay, you're batting 1,000 tonight on insane comments. You told us how
clearly,
you like the
clearly.
it reminded you of your childhood. You're like, but then you got to turn around and be like, you know, I can't say I totally knew who this was at first, so it affected whether or not I liked it. It's like, dude, come on.
I'm sorry, man. I was really showing as a kid. All I could see was Cartoon Network.
To be fair, if this were just a fantasy cover, would you still not think this was cool? I mean, I think it's cool.
I do think it's cool. What are you talking about? I thought it looked amazing. I was just saying that I didn't know who it was. So because of that, I was kind of confused. But I think everything else looks incredible. Like, I think this looks great.
I feel you, homie. I feel you. All right. I'm going to go to you, Steven. Says Jeffrey apparently is taking some PP time. What did you make of this, Jeff? What did you make of this, Steven?
Really, really cool. Great uses of color. Fantastic cape. I was just confused regarding the background, but aside from that, it's fantastic.
I think it's a beautiful piece. I think, again, we're talking about an artist here who I'm just really excited to see what she's able to do throughout the tournament. So many things. First of all, again, I'm much older than most of you guys. I'm much older than Often When It's Saturday AM. So I often bring up useless American facts. But there was an artist out of Hawaii that I used to see pop up occasionally at DC and Marvel. I'm trying desperately to remember their name, but this artist so looks like that. She so looks like this artist that I remember as a kid used to draw for Marvel and DC. The character work is very stiff, but it's very like, you know, it's very like of the moment. It's not like, you know, I mean, I'm sorry, it's not of the moment. It feels very kind of like plastered. they worked in a very painterly style. I cannot remember this artist's name. Something with a K, something with a K. But anyway, but she reminds me of that artist so much, because this artist would have done a piece like that back in the 80s. I know. Like the pose, like the background, love the bats and kind of creatures in the background as well. Stylistic, but of course it works. The rain is fantastic. The ground is fantastic, where the rain is kind of soaking and kind of reflecting the surface. Really, really, really like this piece. I just think this is such a really cool piece. Just to me, it's a really masterful piece from someone who knows how to do it. All right, so that is Scion Arts, and I was trying to see where Scion Arts is. I'll look that up here in a minute. But let's go to our competition, which is I Am Crafty G, and they're turning in a solid competitive image here. Jeffrey, are you back yet, Jeffrey?
Yeah, I'm back.
All right. You sound like you're in a tunnel. Keep going, Jeffrey.
Oh, yeah. The poses are really good. I think the background itself is a little too moody. It doesn't really match with the colors on the characters.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really understand what those balls are on the ground or why they're there. Yeah. If I had to say there was anything good, it's the composition and the poses.
Jay, what did you make of that? Jeffrey raised some good points. What did you make of that?
I really like the outfits on, especially the Flash. I thought that was really cool. The action, I thought that was pretty nice. I do not like the background. I totally agree. It's too moody. I assumed that those balls on the background were just rocks that were like flying up because they were moving so fast.
That's what I thought too. But I mean, considering there's no ground,
I mean, if you were gonna do that, definitely add a ground. If they're in the Speed Force, then I don't understand why Superwoman is there. So I don't know. There's a few things that I definitely would have, like, if you would have added a background to this, it would have been honestly way better. I mean, other than just having the moody thing. But I really like the outfits for sure. The colors and the electricity just looks great. So
I want to give you, Jay, one of our special Saturday AM stickers for mentioning Speed Force. That's fantastic. That's proper nerdy, my friend. Proper nerdy. I totally agree with everything we were saying. First of all, let me just give some quick updates. Crafty G here is from Nigeria, and his competitor Scion Arts is from St. Croix, the island of St. Croix. So again, folks, international tournament, lots of great artists kind of getting on that stage in a big way, and we really love that about this tournament. I totally agree. This piece, first of all, I'm a huge DC Comics fan, as Jay and White and all those guys know. I love DC. I don't love the movies, but I love the comic books. I grew up a big comic fan of DC, so I just have a natural love of all these folks like Flash, Kid Flash in particular. I love his costume. I've always loved Kid Flash costume. That being said, yeah, I didn't even again, kind of like Jay, as I said earlier, Jay was letting his emotional stake in some of these characters affect his view of the art. I did the same thing because I did not even recognize the fact that there was no ground. I just thought those were rocks. It didn't dawn on me there's no ground. I was so caught up in the color of the characters and just the look of the image. But there's no question that this image is compromised a little bit because of the lack of definition of both the background and the ground itself. That's all I can really say. I mean, I think it's a very unique piece. Hats off to this artist for attempting it. They get the colors right. I think we can give them credit. The colors of the costumes are right. The red in particular, Flash, sometimes for artists who don't know how to do Flash, they give Flash a different shade of red. This is the appropriate shade of red for Flash. I love that he highlights light where it needs to be for some of the characters. The Speed Force is kind of trending and stuff. I love that. So good stuff. Really, really like this. But I do think at this moment that looking like Scion Arts is going to take this. And this appears to be the way the fans have voted as well. Does anyone disagree with that? Anyone think I Am Crafty pulls this out?
I think it has potential, but honestly, I mean, after looking at the Blade one, Blade one looks better. That's for sure.
Yeah, the Blade one is a very solid image. All right, so moving on to the next matchup. Again, that was an artist from St. Croix and an artist from Nigeria. So awesome. Next up, we have Icarus Lion with some Miles Morales. I feel like we will see more Miles Morales throughout this entire group. What do you make of this, Jeffrey?
I really love the atmosphere in this one. Honestly, there's everything I really, really like about it. Like it could be a wallpaper, like a desktop wallpaper, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only thing that bothers me is that the web hammock isn't bended enough, but that's my only problem with it.
Yeah, I mean, you start getting into physics about how a web should feel. So yeah, I agree. I know what you're talking about, but then you're like, wait a minute, maybe the web is more powerful than that. I mean, he can't swing on it, so who knows? I don't. Who knows?
Maybe.
Yeah, but yeah, you know what strikes me with this piece? I'm wondering how they illustrated it. That's what I want to ask you. Is you look at this piece, and on one hand, I almost think it's like 3D rendered because it feels like a 3D rendered piece. It's so. Like there's definition to every piece of it. Other parts of it you can look at and say, okay, no, this is traditional, but color it with a different color technique. What did you make of this, Jay?
I liked it a lot. I didn't think. Well, now that I'm looking at it, I can totally see how you're saying that it looks like it could be digitally rendered. But I originally thought that it was just Photoshop, and maybe they just did it to look that way. I really like the feeling of this particular image. It makes me, I like how it's relaxing, and I totally agree with Jeffrey. Like, I could totally see this as a wallpaper for your desktop. I really liked the shoes. Hold on, let me see if I can bring it up. Yeah, I really like the shoes. The detail in there, I thought that was really awesome, and yeah, the shadow, I thought that was really cool too.
Shadow is very clever. Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Okay, his competition is Harakami Art. And folks, it's one of those things where we had no idea they'd both be drawing Spider-Man, but here Harakami Art is drawing Spider-Man. Stephen Alcaide, what'd you make of this, sir?
Really, really cool. I love the uses of color. I love how like the light reflects off of Spider-Man, the blurring in the background, just really cool.
Definitely a lot of artwork aside, definitely this artist is playing with some post-production technique here to give it a unique look. Jay, what did you make of all the trickery that this artist is doing?
I actually like this picture a lot, mainly because of just the fact that he tried to do this particular pose. Usually with Spider-Man, you see all these crazy poses, and I wish that honestly maybe he would have tried to do another crazy pose. But this particular pose, I like you can feel the motion, him like kind of getting zoomed up from like pulling on the web. And because of that, I like it a lot. I also like the lighting hitting him. I do feel like it could have been maybe executed a little bit better because it kind of like is like a stark cut off on like his leg, like how it's like really bright and then it's like yellow bright, but then like immediately after it's like super blurry. I like that, but I feel like it could have been done better. I'm not sure exactly how to explain it, but overall, I like this image a lot.
So a couple of things. One is so I'm trying to see here which one of so which one of you guys was the person saying that was that Icarus Line? I don't know who was who, but so I think Icarus Line was suggesting that he or she, I'm pretty sure that he did the original image that we just looked at with they drew it and then erased all the lines digitally. But then again, maybe that's this artist. I don't know who it is. I can't say the Icarus Lion is from Canada, and Harakami Art is from Germany. So we've got a very international match here. Yeah, this piece to me, I mean, both pieces of me are really cool. I think I couldn't agree more. Okay, so the other artist was the one who was Icarus Lion was the one saying they operated in 3D. Or did it digitally. Clip Studio Paint. They use Clip Studio Paint for it. Yeah, I think this is a tough one. This is a tough matchup here because I think what Harakami Art's doing traditionally is really, really good here with the Spider-Man image. The post-production techniques are really smart. It's really smart because it gives this image, which would be very static on its own, it gives it a real sense of velocity. And that's, again, in art, it's a hard thing to do. But when you can pull it off, if you can pull it off, and when you pull it off, it's very attractive. And this piece is a very attractive piece. Likewise, Icarus Line with this piece from Miles is so beautiful and it's understated quality that it's really, really cool piece. Just real quickly, very quickly, Jeffrey, which way would you go on this?
Icarus Land.
Jay, which way would you go on this?
Hikaru.
Hikaru. Okay, and where would you go on this, Steven?
Hikaru.
Or Harikami, I guess.
Okay, I'm about to say y'all some non-reading people. Harikami art, man, get it right.
It wasn't on screen, man.
Yeah, I actually went with Icarus Line here. Just I think it's a great image, and I think also one of the things that caught me with the Harakami art piece, which I still think is a great piece. So I'd be totally cool if either one of them made it through. Is it just the line work on his lower body, like it's hard to tell. He puts the filter on it with the focal point, but it's hard to tell. Like, I mean, the muscle lines and stuff, because it's just a wash of like black sketchiness, but that sketchiness is just there for no real reason. It doesn't inform you as to whether or not that's his leg. Like, I can make out his abs, I can make out his rib cage, I cannot make out his legs, and so it just seems kind of like this weird mash in the middle, and it's just obscured enough with the focal point effect where you don't quite know, and they just kind of mask it. And so it was because of that that I just kind of looked at and thought, this piece feels cool, but it feels like also it's kind of maybe a bit complicated and not quite as solid as I would think. That said, the voters also kind of they're 50-50 with these guys just about. So not quite right now. I think Harakami has the edge, but this is an interesting one. We'll see what happens tomorrow morning. Next up, Black Carrot did not submit their work in on time yet again. So again, like I said, we got some people here who didn't come through, so we'll have to see what happens here. Next up, we have Lord Hikaru Arts with a Spider-Gwen and Miles Morales image holding hands and swinging. It's so cute. It's so cute. Steven, what did you make of this? As a heartless person that you are, what did you make of this?
Are you referring to me?
Yes, Steven. Yes, heartless. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah, really cool. Really cute, as you said previously. I feel like this could be like a clip or like a sticker or something. It'd be pretty cool.
Jay, what did you make of this?
I really like the idea and the posing. I think that the webs on their costumes probably could have used a little bit more work, and also maybe erase some of the sketchiness in the background. But otherwise, I like it a lot.
Yeah, I think this is so. This will be interesting to see again. I think this is a scenario where Low Carter Arts obviously is winning because Black Carrot didn't enter. Artistically, there's a lot of issues here. This is a cute piece because of just the characters involved and what they're doing. But as you indicated, Jay, there's so many things I can point out here that, in terms of a pure artistic piece, are just not quite there. And so, from that standpoint, I will be curious to see what happens when we have to do the shakeout. And I have to kind of recalibrate this because people didn't get their artwork in on time, and see exactly how this shakes out in this group. It could be the case that two of the other artists that were close get more votes than this artist gets, and so we have to wait to see. But it's a cute piece. It's a very cute piece. The question of whether or not they would have won against Black Carrot's a question. Black Carrot needed to work in on time, so that's that. We got to look and also see what time everyone got their artwork in. But this is a really cute piece, and hats off to Lord Hikaru Arts for producing something that is as adorable as this is. Lord Hikaru Arts, obviously, because of the forfeit, is doing pretty well. So that is that. Next up, we have No War 2999. This is a really cool Miles Morales piece. Like I said, folks, you're going to see a lot of Miles Morales in the superhero section. No War is from the U.S., and this is a really interesting piece. Jay, what did you make of this?
I liked it a lot. I really like it. It seems like they have a style. I would love to see some more of their pieces to, I guess confirm that. But I mean, I really liked just the fact that it's two images in one. I could go on and on, but the colors are very vibrant. I like it a lot. It's really cool.
I can say honestly that this absolutely did hit on that level. The artist does have a style, and so
Nice.
I remember some people were looking at the style when we were going through all these artists. When we were trying to choose who's going to be the 64 artists, and there were a few people who were like, "Oh, I don't like this person's style," and and I was like, "It's a style. Like, that's a style that I actually am quite familiar with from the 1980s when comic books like Teenage Mutant Turtles were just getting started." So really interesting thing here. But with that being said, it is a style, and I think as artists, as I said before, there are some artists whose style really is special, and I think this artist has a special style with that. Jeffrey, what did you make of this?
It's good. The only thing that bothers me, and it's something I just noticed, but I think that Dr. Octopus is like the character should have been shown just to make it more of like an even piece, because I feel like because Gwen is on the left and there's just Dr. Octopus's tentacles on the right, it makes his piece a little unbalanced. But
yeah,
the colors are good. I think I wish the background popped a little bit more. Like maybe if it was just something black or just something darker.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. The style is really great too. We'll say that. And the line work as well.
All right. Next up is Jason S263. This, of course, is Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, smacking that alien lady scroll from the movie, if you guys have seen the movie or you've seen the trailers. That being said, all right. Jay, what'd you make of this?
I thought this picture was hilarious. But I really like the motion, the fist. Like you can tell that she just punched her. I thought that was really cool. I do think that the fist should have been like maybe drawn a little bit like I don't know how to say this, a little bit more forward or a little bit like tilting down. Like it just kind of seems like punching somebody like that wouldn't necessarily work. But other than that, I really like also the pink, the vibrant pink kind of brings out everything and kind of like, keeps it all together as like, a one moment like punch. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I have seen this inside of the trailer. And, from my knowledge of it, I mean, I assume this is exactly, what happened. I mean, it looks really cool. And yeah, it makes me want to watch the movie. I'll say that.
So there's something unique here, and I don't think it's a spoiler, so I'll talk about that in a minute. But Steven, Alcaide, very quickly, what did you make of this piece?
It's hilarious. Good uses of color. Background's interesting. Pretty cool.
So, a couple things. So this is cute because this is what happens in the movie, but it's also not what happens in the movie. Meaning that she does attack the woman. The woman is a scroll. Sorry. But if you look at this pic, she's smacking the person, and then the woman who has a scroll chin is in the background looking like, whoops, so he's kind of making a joke saying she's punching the wrong person. So this is a really cute piece for that aspect. Also, real quick note for you guys who keeping track, No War, who we just showed, they did the Miles Morales Spider-Man piece, is from the United States. And Captain Marvel here from Jason S263, Jason S263 is from, I just had it, from Canada. So we have yet another, the United Kingdom. So we have another artist from the UK. So we have, at this point, two artists from the UK, several from the United States. Like this piece a lot. Yes, there are some issues here technically with the arm, the way the fist looks. There's some aspect here. Even her arm is really long, so it's just kind of like it's a little weird. The background is just trippy, is the best way to put it. Like it's not really a background. Again, it works if you've seen the movie or seen the trailer. You understand what's happening. in and of itself, it would just be a lost scenario setup because you wouldn't know what that is, the background. So it works, but it is trippy. It's not quite a thing. I don't know if that was just timing or they were just looking for something interesting. So I don't know. It's interesting. I think this is another kind of tough one, and the votes confirm this. I think the public vote has who has the edge here. So Jason asks, this pick has the edge, slight edge, and I mean slight edge over No War. But these are two, I think, very strong pieces from two very strong artists. Who do you think takes us real quickly? Jeffrey, who takes us around this man?
I like the Miles Morales piece a little bit more, just in concept.
No War for Jeffrey. Steven, who takes us around?
Jason Oz.
Jason S. All right. Who takes us around, Jeyodin?
No War.
No War. Wow. All right. And I must say that I'm also No War on this piece. I do like Jason S. Image here. I like it a lot. Piece for me, I like cartoony stuff. I feel like it's hard to pull it off with any real synergy to it. But I must say, I would not be at all broken if both these artists went through the next round or one or the other went through, because they're just that good. We'll see how this plays out when we tabulate all of the votes and scores from our team at large. Okay, next up we have Sterling Cartoons, who I think is in the U.S., and they're up against Hack Wolfen, who is from, if I remember correctly, Hack Wolfen, I just had it. Damn it, Hack Wolfen, I just had you up on my screen here. Where are you from? Hack Wolf is from the USA as well. Two USA people. All right. Sterling Cartoons has My Hero Academia. Steven, what'd you make of this? Quickly.
Really dynamic, action-packed. Great color.
Jeyodin, what'd you make of this?
Vibrant colors, amazing fire, and I really like the spot blacks.
Yeah, I think this is again. There are times you see artists who are just exceptional at art. They just, whatever they're planning to do, they can do, and I think this artist is very much of that ilk, and therefore, like you said, the blacks are perfect, the pose is perfect, the lighting effect of the flame is perfect. Just a great image. Up against Hack Wolfen here, who has a really cool Batman image with a cat, with the signify Catwoman, perhaps, in an alleyway. What did you make of this, Jeffrey?
Charming. Perspective is a little off, and colors are pretty good.
Yeah. Jay, what'd you make of this?
I like the street light in the background. Small details like that, really, really cool. Just like kind of like that magazine in the bottom right-hand corner. That looks really cool. I think Batman's head looks a little bit too big. I do like I like the colors, like the gloomy colors. I feel like that's probably the best part. But yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the colors here really sing. I think that it's a moody piece, although Batman betrays it. The artist betrays it because Batman is smiling. I don't know if Hack or Hack Wolfen is a girl, but this does feel like a more positive depiction of Batman than I think a lot of men would give it, which is not a negative thing. It's just that it does strike you as a little different for Batman. It's a very cute image with him and a cat. He's got a smile on his face. His head does look a little big for his body, but I do like, I think just the mood of it, the color work, especially with the lights in the background, is really nice. The buildings look a little too generic, obviously. So it's not, so again, I think between the two, Sterling Cartoons has a more dynamic piece. One thing I will say regarding Sterling Cartoons is that we did say that My Hero Academia should not count as anime, and we wanted it to be traditional comic book superheroes. So more than likely, it'll get docked some points for that because I specifically called out My Hero Academia. But that being said, based on just what I see of the votes that have come in and so forth, he's got a fairly decent sized lead over Hack Wolfen. So probably Sterling cartoons will advance. But folks, again, what I can say is that these are the sorts of infractions that when you make them, you don't follow the rules. Is it the tournament gets tighter and you go up against other types of artists who are very, very strong? 5 points here, 10 points there is literally the difference. And so, you know, it'd be a fair warning to all artists who are not following through exactly with the stuff that we talked about. Next up, we have Pood Poopsie, one of my favorite names in the tournament, Pood Poopsie. I got to be honest with you, folks. If this artist did not call themselves Pood Poopsie, I would make that name the new name for Jay or somebody else in the group. But Pood Poopsie is this artist's name, so therefore I must let them own it, and own it they shall. I was looking forward to find out if they had their name listed where I could actually know what their real name was, but no, it's just Pood Poopsie. Pood Poopsie, ladies and gentlemen. This is Batman. Very cool image. Real quickly, Jeffrey, what'd you make of this piece?
I love the composition and the angle that the image is put in, like from this sort of worm's eye view. The sound effects, I think they're a little bit misplaced. I think that those buildings in the background are a little bit off. But yeah, I really like the composition and the colors. The colors are really great too.
Okay, I'm trying to see. I don't necessarily see the buildings, but oh, I see him. Okay, yeah, I see him. What did you make of this, Jeyodin?
I really like the color work. I really like actually everything about this picture is really cool. The ha 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 is very ominous. You can tell the Joker is somewhere around just terrorizing the city. I like this piece a lot. It looks really good.
Yeah, agreed. I think this is a really solid piece. In fact, folks, because I am old and insane, I actually did look up the artist. The artist's name is Steve Lealoha, I think, from Hawaii. And he was an artist when I was a kid who had style very similar to this. And Sean Arts did with Blade piece. It was very stiff, but it evoked so much emotion. It kind of had this kind of painted. And this reminds me of Steve Lealoha's work as well. He was one of the artists in the Batman 400th issue when I was a kid. I used to that issue was like everything to me because it was like the first big comic book anniversary issue I bought. Now Batman's about to celebrate his 1,000th issue, so that tells you how old I am. But really cool. I remember Steve Lealoha's work was so great, and this reminds me of Steve Lealoha's work. Really cool. I like it a lot. Very unique image. Just a great piece here. PZ Zen did not submit their work on time, folks. Uh-oh. So again, looks like we might have some more. Again, this might make the pathway for some of the other artists to come through. But looks like a very difficult group thus far. Next up, Adri Scribbles. Adri Scribbles. All right, folks. This is a really cool piece. It's one of my favorite pieces of the tournament thus far, just because I love seeing female characters. I love seeing girl characters like this. Just really cool. Jeyodin, I want to hear from you.
This piece was really fun to look at. It the more I look at it, the funnier it gets. It just seems like, Wonder Woman is just fed up. She's like, I don't want to be here anymore. But I don't know. I really like this piece. The color work was really awesome. I really like all the poses. You can see all the facial expressions and clearly tell exactly what type of emotion they're going through. What else? Just I guess a side note, I really like that shield that the Green Lantern girl is doing. I thought that was really awesome. At first, I didn't necessarily notice that it was a shield, but yeah, so I like it a lot.
I think I must say what you said. I think, and I didn't think of that, but I think it is 100% accurate of a description for this piece, and that is that this piece evokes. It makes you look at it. It makes you go through the entire piece and just see everything that's happening with it. Well said. This is a piece that does require you or reward you for looking at it, over and over again and studying it. Stephen, what did you make of this piece?
Great composition, fantastic polish, and the color work reminds me of like a show like Adventure Time or MLP.
Yeah, I think of DC Superhero Girls, which is a new property that's kind of out right now. Features a lot of the DC characters, female characters, and even male characters, but more meant for young girls. Andrew Scribbles go up against Black Hawk, Black Hockey Art. Jesus Christ, these names. Black Hockey Art. All right, this is a very cool looking Spider-Man image from the video game, which again is not quite what we said to do. I'm sure they're going to make excuses to this being from comic books and so forth. But regardless, there you go. What do you make of this piece, Goeffrey Jean-Lous?
The pose is done pretty well. And the buildings are a little too smoothed out. Like, there's not enough detail in them. I think the background could have also maybe just been a little bit more vibrant, like if there was a sun or something, just to match the shading that's on Spider-Man. But yeah, pretty good pose.
Going to you, Jeyodin, what'd you make of this?
I agree. The posing looks pretty cool. I thought it was pretty cool to actually try to. He didn't really push it as much as he could have, but like the fact that the hand is a little bit closer to the to you the viewer, I thought that was pretty cool. You could totally see that he's about to shoot another web. I thought that was awesome. I wish, yeah, I totally agree. I wish that the backgrounds had more detail in the buildings, because it kind of just looks really flat. And like he's just there, like exactly like what you said. If this is a video game, it's like the buildings are loading all of the details as he's going to the next screen. So that's kind of what it looks like to me. But overall, it seems like a pretty interesting piece. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think it looks great. I think it looks really, really good. By the way, Black Hockey Art is from crap. I just had it. Black Hockey Art is from where are you from? Black Hockey Art from the Netherlands. Our first artist from the Netherlands. I believe Andrew Scribbles is from the U.S. But correct me if I'm wrong, Andrew Scribbles. I see you in the chat. Look, I think it's a great piece. I think the piece is really good. I actually love the color work on it. Yes, and again, I know how this is going to play out, because Spider-Man, that Spider-Man costume, I think they've introduced it in the comic books now. So it's one of those kind of silly gray areas. But again, it's a video game version is what we, if we say do a video game, we did a Spider-Man, it had to look like this, because this is the the video game version of Spider-Man that's out now. And folks, there's a reason, by the way, they do that, because it helps easier. It's easier for them for both licensing components and brand separation. They don't want you being confused about Spider-Man. That's why Batman always looks so different between the movies and the video game and the comic books. And they want to kind of, in the cartoons, they want to separate it out so that you know what you're looking at when you support it. That's just the reality. So anyway, it's interesting. I like the piece a lot. It's a kind of very classic pose. It reminds me of like John Romita, just in a new costume. So I really like that a lot. Look, this will be a tricky one, because I find this piece, the backgrounds are bland. There's no question. But the Spider-Man looks pretty rock solid. On the flip side, the Andrew Scribbles illustration does have some issues. I mean, I don't want to, go away without saying, that there are some issues here. I mean, the character in the yellow and brown in the corner there next to the Green Lantern girl, like her legs are ultra skinny. Like it's a very bizarre sort of setup. Some of the characters look normal. Some of the characters look their anatomy's a little off. Even if it's meant to be a stylized version based on these superhero girls property, there's still symmetry that is off a little bit. But the fact of the matter is that there's so much going on here. This is where I give this creator the edge, because they offered so many things happening here. And as Jay said, again, I think brilliantly, what really makes this piece for me a successful illustration is that it rewards you for looking at it constantly. You're like, every character makes you pay a little bit more attention to that character and what the character is doing and things of that nature. So to the room and things like that. So I think that's, for me, what would give this piece the edge here. The fan vote is somewhat close. Andrew Scribbles does have the lead in the fan voting, but I have to look and see what everyone else has. So anyone else? Any other questions? Anyone have any comments? I mean, who do you think advances from this matchup? Jay.
I'm gonna go with Adri.
Okay, and what about you, Jeffrey?
Definitely Adri.
All right. Okay, next up, the last one on this list. This is the last artist in Team Apple Black who was ranked. The artist's name is Monitor Comics, and this is a Spider-Man and Venom setup. I believe this artist's name is Michael Beaumont. Very interesting artwork. There's some things here that are just really interesting here is the best way I can put it, because it makes you look at it kind of like the DC superhero girls, but not necessarily for the same reason. It makes you look at it because it's so different from what you would normally see. You know it's meant to be Spider-Man, but it's forcing you to kind of look and understand exactly what you're trying to see. I mean, like the Spider-Man costume is definitely a different costume. The Venom costume or symbiote is different. And I'm not sure, like, as I'm looking at it, I can't quite tell how much of this is by choice and how much of this is that they just weren't quite sure or didn't feel like drawing the costumes properly. Because the Spider-Man costume is notoriously a pain in the butt to have to illustrate. Jay, as someone who has to illustrate a lot of different stuff, what do you make of this piece? And my point about not being quite accurate.
Well, first off, I really like the carnage in the background. I thought that was pretty cool. I do think that because on the Spider-Man there's so much red, he blends in way too easily with the background, and because of that, it kind of throws you off. So I would have definitely added more blue to the costume. Obviously what you're saying is that his costume is different, so that's the one thing that's really throwing me off. But I love the fact that this particular style is very, very interesting. I keep on looking at this picture and I can't look away because it's so different than what I normally know. So I mean, because of that, I feel like they did a really good job. There's definitely a few issues here or there, but I mean, overall, I like it a lot.
Okay, and I'm going to go to you, Jeffrey. What'd you make of this?
Yeah, I agree that it's really hard to keep your eyes off of the image because it's just so much texture layered around everywhere. And the way that the colors are placed too is really cool because it gives enough contrast to tell everything apart. And again, the repetitive word, I'm going to use really good composition too.
All right, so let's see. Next up, we have the opponent is the Kid Crow. This is Static Shock. So, Steve and Alcaide, would you make a Static Shock?
This is a book I personally like this one. Static Shock is a bonus for me. Nanda's nostalgia, pretty cool. Good uses of color.
All right. Yeah, very colorful piece, which is interesting because you're talking really about four colors on the screen here. It's purple, blue, but the way he uses the lightning effect, it just allows the piece to. I mean, in fact, I want to give a shout out here because the way he uses the lighting effect is not just cool, but it's stylish, and it breaks up and provides a pattern for the image so that he can actually provide a background of sorts. Right, your eye is taken away from the fact it's just a blue background, and now he's got legitimate color kind of around the main character. Not the most dynamic pose, and I think that's one part that kind of hurts the piece a little bit. But regardless, really love the lighting effect here. Jay, what did you make of this?
You guys have said it all. The lighting was amazing. It actually reminded me immediately of the cartoon. I love the cartoon. I was a huge fan of it. And yeah, I mean, it feels so well done, but very simplistic. And I feel like that's a great tell of an awesome artist, to take something so simplistic and make it look like it's I don't know, several different colors, even though it's only 4 or 5. So, I mean, I really like this piece a lot. I wish that there was a different pose because it would have been way more interesting had we seen the entire body, doing something. But, as it is, I like it a lot. I could see this as like a wallpaper on my phone or something.
Yeah, I was curious. I mean, there's no. I mean, so that to me, that's what makes this matchup really interesting because, this is not. Neither image, in my opinion, is very dynamic. The poses are not like there's nothing happening that makes you go, "Oh man, this is a really like it's bringing you to the piece." What makes either piece interesting is the use of color and the sort of techniques that they employ in just the actual design of the image. So in this piece, again, the artwork is very loose line work. It's very simple line work. I mean, it's not composed in an overly structured way. Again, the fact that there's not a dynamic pose makes it seem kind of bland, therefore. But the lightning effect, like I said, again, I have to give a big shout out to that lightning because that lightning really just it makes that image pop and it takes that background and really gives it some definition. Likewise with modern comics, this piece is very arresting. You can't not look at this, like you guys said. You can't not look at it. Again, I draw the distinction that one of the reasons you can't not look at it is because again it's red on red on red, except for the Venom. The costumes aren't quite there. Like I said, I'm looking at it trying to figure out why Spider-Man has what looks like pajamas and not his actual costume on. I love the Carnage. I guess that's Carnage in the background. I don't even know. But I do like the pose. I love the cross hatching. But again, I'm looking at it not just because of how good the art is. I'm looking at it because of all the weird choices that were made with it. And I don't know if the artist was actually trying to make something, or again, if the artist just was like, I'm not drawing all them damn. I'm not going to draw the blue. I'd have to separate out the red and all that stuff. So I don't know, but both these pieces are really intriguing because of the choices that they make. I'm not as familiar with I.M. Crafty's work. I'm very familiar with Modern Comics after his work in the pre-tournament, so I can say that I know that Modern Comics is extremely talented. I.M. Crafty G obviously very talented with that piece, but I don't know again the breadth of his work. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here because this is a close one. Now the fan vote is very much in the Kid Crow's favor. Not very much, but more than I would have thought. I'm not sure that's going to be the case for our vote, but right now this is a toss up. I think, and this comes back to something else I said at the beginning of the tournament. We saw this with Bailey Buttel. I think again, sometimes I think it's easy for artists to come into the tournament who know they're talented, and they don't think they have to actually try to do something really unique or something that's gonna. It's kind of like boxing. You got to know when to throw a punch. You got to know when to block. You got to know when to throw a jab. But you got to know how to arrange those things at any given time. And I think sometimes really talented artists come into the tournament, like Bailey Buttel his first year, and sometimes they're like, "Oh man, I got this. I'm really talented," and they don't stick the landing as well as they could have. It doesn't mean that they turned in bad work, but it's like sometimes when they could have done something that really just would have made it obvious that they're the best artist, they didn't. And I'm questioning if that's what's going to be the case here because of that. Because again, I think Modern Comics is ultra talented, but I think this piece just has as many things to look at and question as it does have me look at and go, this is really, really, really badass. This artist can do a lot of cool stuff. Interesting matchup here. Real quickly, Jeffrey, which way would you go?
I'd go with Monitor Comics.
Jeyodin, which way would you go?
Static Shock.
I am Crafty G. Which way would you go, Steven?
Monitor
Comics, yeah. And I'm actually not going to say which way I went, but I'll just say that this one is 50-50 to me. This was 50-50 to me. Okay, all right. So we are halfway done. We're going to definitely take a 5-minute break. I want everybody to take a 5-minute break. Because we are going to get through this list here, and we're going to go through it and get everything set. But it's 1 o'clock in the morning. It is late, and I can tell you now, we're not going to go much later. This thing's going to be wrapped up in the next hour for sure. So I want my guys to take a moment, go use the bathroom, kiss your wife, Jay, do all that fun stuff. But do know when we come back, we get ready to start the last half of this. I want very quick, definitive comments. I do not want to spend any time trying to we got to get through all this stuff, folks. All right. So that being said, we will take a little 5-minute break starting now. All right, folks, we are back. We're going to start the second half of round one reviews. Again, this is Saturday AM, our 4th annual March Art Madness tournament, a 60-plus artist knockout single elimination style tournament across 5 weeks, including brand new fan art generated on themes that each group gets each week. We've break all the artists up into 4 different teams based on some of our most popular series: Bully Eater, Apple Black, Saigami, and Clock Striker. At this moment in time, we reviewed the teams for Saigami. We reviewed the teams for Apple Black. We now are getting ready to review the team submissions from artists in Team Bully Eater. So that is starting right now. I will get ready and prep the screen to share it for you all so you can see what is sure to be some fantastic artwork. So bear with us just a moment. And there goes my little clock letting me know that we're all good to go. All right, so all right, and the screen is now being shared. So let's get ready and get everything set for this. I present it full screen. All right, and hopefully that is working. Hopefully you guys can all see it. Let's wait to see if that pops up there. There we go. Actually, you know what? I did want to try something real quick, but I forgot about that. Give me 1 second here. Let me fix that. Let's see here. You guys can probably hear my dog, who is just making a ton of noise here. That's how we do it, folks. Okay. All right. Well, I was trying to see if I could find a way to ensure that we didn't have the breakup with the images. There we go. I can actually. Well, I want to do that. Anyways, all right. So we're going to get started. I was trying to see if I could make sure the video didn't have to break apart each time, but it doesn't look like I can do that. So no worries. We will get started. Again, we're not we don't have all the monies yet, folks. We can't do all the cool stuff I'd like to do. But there we go. So you guys hopefully now can see the full screen. We're beginning with Team Bully Eater. And the first matchup is against ranked artist JP Eba Adan from Philippines, our first artist from the Philippines thus far. They're going up against DC Sledge. And this piece here, their group is doing work based on Netflix originals. So again, I'm confident we will see some Netflix issues here, but we're going to see what we come up with. Netflix originals. So this is any show that debuted on Netflix, not one that ended up on Netflix after the fact. I'm sure that we will see some issues on this. Luke Cage, Marvel's Luke Cage. Great image here. JP Eba, we've seen his work before. He's very familiar to Saturday AM creators and staff. Again, from the Philippines. Great piece. Jeyodin, what did you make of this?
I love the colors. I love the blood splatter on his fists, and also his facial expression is very detailed.
Steven, what did you make of this?
Great color, great anime, great atmosphere.
Yes, it is. It's great. It's atmosphere. This makes me feel like I could beat somebody up as a black man. All right. So next up, he's up against DC Sledge. Now, I do not know what this is. I must say, I do not know what this is. So anyone who watches Netflix, or if the artist is actually watching this, please let us know what the hell this is. I do not know what this is. I assume this is one of Netflix's gazillion shows that's meant to be kind of like a version of Ghost in the Shell, but with actors that you barely know. Goeffrey Jean-Lous, what do you make of this piece?
It's very gray.
It's very perceptive, Jeff.
I kind of like it. It's not too bad. Can't really say. I have no idea exactly what it is, but I kind of like it.
All right. Jay, give me a bit more to go on, Jay.
I like the hands. I like how they're gripping the gun. I think that they were drawn very well. The composition, I feel like, could have been a little bit better. Like maybe if like the two guys were interacting somehow. But the muted colors, I feel like, is a good thing for this particular image because it makes that one guy's eye stand out and you immediately go to it. So if that's what they were going for, they did a good job on that.
Yeah, I think so. So, first of all, let me say I couldn't agree with you more. I think the hands are what make this piece the most successful, makes this piece successful. Let me just say up front, I don't think this piece beats JP's piece. I think JP's piece has the requisite kind of like, the color work is stronger, the image work is stronger. Even the superimposed image of the character is done really well. This, though, it does have a lot of positives to it, but the hands are really what's seeing here. I mean, the gripping of the gun, as silly as that might sound to some of you guys, like there are a couple things that are really hard to do, and any artist will tell you this. Drawing animals is really hard. Drawing cars is really hard, or drawing cars well is really hard. And drawing guns is really hard. Like how you handle the hand, how you point the gun to do it effectively. I remember even comic books when I was growing up from the big companies like Marvel and DC, even a gun where it's like pointing at you, the artist would draw it down a little bit because they just could not get the thing correct to have the gun, like from a camera perspective, going directly at you. They couldn't do it. They just didn't feel right. It felt like it was a hand, like the barrel around the gun, the trigger around the finger. So you have like the three fingers at the bottom holding the, gripping the handle. The middle, the index finger would be over the, in the little sliver that would be the trigger button. And then the thumb would be at the top near the part where you flip the bullets and so forth, or release the lock. And then they could never quite get the part where the bullet, is literally coming towards you. So they would always draw the gun downward. And it's just very bizarre. It's one of those really weird, bizarre facts, but that's just the way it was. So this is really well done. Like every aspect of the guns on this thing, and then even the hand holding I don't know what the hell that is, a paper hat, a paper plane. I don't know what that is. It's all cool. Someone said in chat, this is Hero Mask. That's great. Another rule I would say, folks, when you're doing this stuff, for Martial Madness, I've learned is when you've got a wide breadth of things that a lot of people aren't familiar with, stick to what people know. Netflix, Marvel shows, they know. So you'd be better off doing that. Maybe Seven Deadly Sins, maybe, certainly Bird Box. Stick to stuff that really went far. Because stuff like this I'd never heard of. Like, for all I know, he's depicted these characters really well. But I can only evaluate this just on what the characters look like in this piece. And, the characters' facial expressions are okay. The characters' hands are really good. Their poses are okay, not great. The character in the background to me is kind of lost except for his hand. His hand looks pretty good, but there's nothing menacing about that character. And so by me not having any reference to the material, none of what I think the artist thinks is really capturing the essence of the series comes across to me like that, which is okay. But obviously the lack of familiarity means I can't judge it with the same level of enthusiasm that something like Luke Cage, which is not a property or a character I necessarily care about, but I know it, and therefore I can look at it and say, you know what, this Luke Cage, he looks menacing, he looks tough. I see the blood spatter, the pose even. Even the back here, his back is somewhat awkward, right? Like the back, it's like kind of got a bit of a hunchback, but still, it's symmetrical. It's so much stronger of a piece than the other piece, and the other piece has 3 characters on it. So I would keep that in mind. With that being said, anyone disagree that JP Iba takes this match?
Nope.
All right. And the fans would agree as well. JP Iba currently has like a damn near 80% victory of that matchup. Next up, Bez Hand Artist versus Tokyo McFly. Folks, if we gave out an award for cool names, Tokyo McFly is up there next to Poop Poopsie. Let's see. Bez Hand Artist. I'm going to look from. But in the meantime, he's from Iraq. From Iraq. That's what I'm talking about. Diversity, folks. Jeyodin, I feel like the minute I said Iraq, you. What do you make of this person?
I really like this piece. The colors look very professional. I would probably work on just like the lighting, like where she's holding it, like that light bulb. Not light bulb, but the energy right there. I do, however, love the energy in the background, how it's like kind of like you can feel the motion, like how it's like swirling behind her. The line art looks really good. and I'm not sure, but I want to say this is from Castlevania. I never actually watched it, so but I really like this image a lot.
I took this Castlevania. Yeah, I mean, it reminded me of the series Castlevania. So that's what I thought it was. I'm sure someone correct this if we're wrong. Jeffrey Jean-Lous, I want to stick with you for a second, my friend. What did you make of this?
The line work I thought was really great, and also the art style. I think it's just technically sound, with the exception of the lighting, like Jeyodin said. Yeah, same thing with the energy in the background. It's just got a lot of like emotion in it, and yeah, also it is from Castlevania.
Yeah, I one thing I also want to reference as well is the hair is great. I mean, I know that sounds so stupid to say, especially as a old black man such as myself. But damn it, like the hair looks great on this. I don't know why, but like the hair, like it's appropriately. It's not that manga BS where the character's hair is all, you know, like ways that no human would ever wear them. Like this is a recognizable style, but it's in movement. You know, you can feel that it's in movement alongside of the fact there's all this energy flowing around and stuff. Like I really like that. Like it kind of slightly goes over her eyes. Like I really just. I mean, there's so much about this piece that I like a lot. Next up is, again, the awesome Tokyo McFly. Jay, now people call you Jeyodin, right?
Sometimes, yeah.
Do you feel that if you did it all over again, do you feel as if you would have rather called yourself Tokyo McFly?
I McFly anything, mainly because of Back to the Future. So I do think that is an awesome name for sure, though.
I agree. Jeffrey, you don't have a nickname, so would you like Tokyo McFly as a nickname?
I do have a nickname. It's Detective Weeb.
That's I totally forgot about that. I do not call you Detective Weeb, but yes, I forgot about that. I forgot that you referred to yourself as Detective Weeb.
Tokyo McFly is a cool name, but I'm pretty cool with Detective Weeb.
Yes. Jay, I must say, Jay, that if I could rename you personally, I would call you BB Awesome Sauce.
Doobie doobie, sir. Doobie doobie.
All right. Let's see. Steven, I don't have a name for you. I'm sorry. You just strike me as Steven. Tokyo McFly. This is what was the name of the series that had Will Smith's kid in it? That's all I remember of it. Will Smith's kid was in it, which should be a detraction. But what was the name of the series?
Neo Yokio.
Neo Yokio, yes. Oh, good gracious. All that being said, I think this is a great piece. I really like this piece. Steven, what'd you make of this piece, sir?
I liked it. I liked the poses. Good color. Very action-packed. Overall, enjoy.
Yeah. Jeyodin, what do you make of this piece?
I thought that the colors were very vibrant. I like that a lot. It was very cartoony. I did not know that this actually was a part of that particular TV show. So that kind of threw me off. But now that I know that, it actually does look slightly more like if that's supposed to be Jeyodin Smith. I mean, it reminds me, it looks kind of like him. So like face wise, I can see how it could be him, but I've never seen that show. So
well, I mean, yeah, this is what you call I mean, first of all, yeah, that's the anime. So the anime
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's right. He was the was it a voice actor or was he like
what else would he be in anime? Was he an artist? Hey, was
yeah, somebody told me about this a while ago. I completely forgot about it until just now. Wow, awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah, a brother with pink hair. So Jeyodin Smith was in this. So now that you realize that, what do you make of it?
I like it a lot. I think this particular image is very cool. I like the fact I would say the foreshortening of the hand definitely needs some work. You don't necessarily like see the bending of his arm because like I guess his thumb is in the way. But I like the fact that he said what?
You don't see the fingernails, bro. Like that's the thing that stood out to me in a minute. So I was like, where in the hell are the fingernails.
But other than that, I mean, I really like this picture. I mean, I would say the ambition of trying to start it out in this way. Definitely add those fingernails and also the bending part of your arm. But other than that, I like it a lot. It looks really cool.
Yeah, let me say it. So I think this is another tough matchup. I think Tokyo McFly does a. First of all, I mean, hats off to, like you said, the pose is fantastic. The face expression of the character is fantastic. I mean, look, this series sucked. The character sucked. Everything about that show sucked, and this makes it look a hell of a lot cooler than with however many episodes they had of it on Netflix. This is a very cool image, but this, when you start poking at it, this is where you start seeing some of the holes. Like we said, there's no fingernails in this. I wish that the effect of his power had been a bit more, the color work had been a bit significant, so that it really felt like it was something unique. And instead, it just feels like kind of standard manga stuff. I love the fact he's got those pink lines running in the background. Like, again, just some of the design work I think is really cool with this. I like that a lot. Cut to Bezin artist, who has tremendous color work going on here, a real confidence in the line work. That being said, that body of this female character, like, first of all, like where her neck is, like her neck just disappears. Like I can't tell, because that should just be a hood. I can't tell anything else about her body where her neck appears, because it just kind of shifts off into some darkness. So the artist just chooses not to show us anything else there, even though that hoodie is pretty damn big. I should be able to see her collarbone and stuff like that. Likewise, the clothes itself are so baggy that while the hands look fairly decent, I can't tell anything about this woman's shape or her figure, because it's just a bag. It's just like this bagginess all around her body. What saves this piece, again, is the face is exceptional. The color work with the energy is exceptional. But there are as many problems to me here in terms of the actual body of the character, because for all I know, this artist cannot draw a body. And folks, that's what the tournament's all about, is seeing what you can and can't do. The artist who can do it all is the artist that wins. The artist that hides it, they might be able to hide it for a week or two, but eventually it catches up to you after 5 weeks. That's my concern with Bezin artist. So love the fact that Bezin artist is from Iraq. Tokyo McFly's from the U.S. They're pretty close right now. Bezin artist has a roughly 10-point lead on the popular poll vote. That being said, to me it's 50-50. I think other artists, I'd be interested in seeing more from them based on what they have. I know they're meant to be baggy, but not that baggy. Step back, son. Jay, who do you think advances?
50-50. 50-50. Yeah. I can't make. I would say probably Bez hand artist, mainly because I really like the color work. But Tokyo McFly, I don't know, it's just a certain style to it, and I really like that one too. So I would.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this one had, to me, Tokyo McFly has more style. I mean, there's more effective use of tools or what the artist can do from Bezin artists. But Tokyo McFly, that's just style all the way around. So, Steven, real quickly, who would you take?
Benzin.
Okay, and Jeffrey?
I go with Tokyo McFly. I thought his image was as sweet as a giant Toblerone.
Wow. All right, folks. Well, like I said, it's very close on the popular vote. We haven't looked at obviously all of the votes, so we'll see what this one shakes out. Next up, Gary Lytle versus Elzak. Gary Lytle is doing clearly Castlevania. What did you make of this piece, Stephen Alcaide?
I like the ink work, and I like the contrast from the red, the black, and the white.
Yeah, I'm not sure this is ink. This is like markers, but I don't know. Jay, what did you make of this, sir?
Yeah, it looks like markers to me. I agree. I like the red and the white and black contrasts. Definitely works. I did not know that this was Castlevania. So I was kind of confused on that. And I like the composition, but I feel as though it could have been executed a little bit better. The castle right in the middle, of like that guy's face is kind of distracting. Definitely when you see that there's a beard behind it. If you didn't have that outline for the castle, it would have been like a lot more difficult to see. So I don't know how you would be able to fix this with using the exact same composition, but that would be my concern. Overall though, I like it pretty much. It's pretty cool.
Okay. This is pick from Elzek here. It's meant to be March Art Madness. What do you make of this piece? I'm sorry, meant to be Daredevil. What do you make of this piece? And I think this artist was trying to, because artists submitted their work late. So they were trying to, they had like an updated version of this, but they got it to us really late. So we never could quite get everything involved with everything else we had to do. What did you make of this piece, Jeffrey?
I think the colors are a little dull, but I really like the symmetry in this piece. I think that's the selling point of this image. I don't know too much about Daredevil, but yeah, it's just the symmetry.
Wow! First of all, that's a shame that you don't know much about Daredevil.
I guess.
Call yourself... Jesus. All right, what did you make of this, Jay?
I really like this picture a lot. Definitely the composition. The fact that it was the symmetry, exactly like what Jeffrey said. I like the muted colors actually, and the fact that there's just red in the middle, and then on the sides is very muted, and everything else around them just kind of like fades into the background. So I like this picture a lot. I think it looks pretty cool.
Yeah. So I like this piece a lot too. So again, Elzek got to work to us late. They're going to be docked some points. But for me personally, this is a better image than Gary Lytle's image. I think that there's, this is the stylistic quality of this is there. I like every part of it is here for a purpose. Some of the character work is really good. I really love the Matt Murdock at the bottom of that. I think the Matt Murdock at the bottom where he's holding the staff is really cool. His father's there. We see Matt Murdock in his original setup, even though the color scheme on that's wrong. It should be all black. But he's going for a pattern here, like iterations of red, brown, or red and brown, just kind of muted colors. Stick, old man Stick looks great. The kingpin's at the very top of it. I mean, stylistically, I'm not sure all the choices here make sense, but stylistically, in terms of design, I think this is a far more complex piece. And we talk about a lot tonight about people who try to do complex things in the tournament and they don't always pull them off. I think this artist, again, I don't agree with every choice that they made, but I think that, and I hate the fact they got their work in late because there's no reason for that. But that being said, this is a far stronger piece to me than Gary Lytle's piece, which is not bad. And there's a lot of stuff here to admire from Gary's piece, particularly hats off to Gary for as Jay said, having the castle there in front of Dracula, but then putting the line work around the castle so that at least you knew it was something in front of his beard and not the beard part of it. That being said, I think this is a bit too ambitious. I think that there's not enough, like his face should have been further away from the castle. The castle itself, if you haven't seen this, doesn't really stand out enough for it to be even a signature of this. It didn't need to be there for that, but obviously he wanted to be there as part of Castlevania. This has got marker stuff going on with it. So whereas there's some sort of pattern around the head of Dracula, the marker work makes it just look a little too weird to me. I mean, it's not quite, there's no symmetry to it. It's just kind of there as a stylistic point. But it's there. Gary's been in a previous tournament with us, previous March Art Madness, and his art style is not to be dismissed. So it's interesting. I think this is an interesting piece, but I think that the Elzek piece, I think, is a little stronger. That being said, Gary Lytle is currently got a bit of a lead on Elzek on the popular vote, so we'll see where this all shakes out. Who would you say won this matchup, Jeffrey? Who would you say won this matchup?
Yeah, I'd have to go with the second one.
Yeah, what about you, Jay?
Elzek.
All right. Well, Elzek may be moving on, folks. Find out more thing posted, but Elzek may be moving on. He's going to get docked some points, though. Next up is also what I think Jay's name could be, Impy J. MPJ versus Green Drawlin. Again, remember, folks, this is Netflix originals, things that were produced for Netflix. MPJ gave us a beautiful She-Ra. This is one of my favorite images of the tournament. So well. Jeffrey, what'd you make of this?
Yeah, no, it's definitely one of my favorites too. The colors are really bright and fun and poppy. The symmetry is also really great, and the way She-Ra's hair is done is really like, it's cartoony, but it's also intricate as well, and it's just really technically sound, just fun piece to look at.
Totally agree. Jeyodin, what do you make of this?
I love this piece. This piece is awesome. The colors, the line art, the outfits. I mean, I thought everything about this was amazing. It actually gave me the same feeling as, I'm not sure if you remember, but I think Here already did this one poster a long time ago with the animals and the mascots and stuff. And when I first saw this, it gave me that same feeling. Like, I would buy this as a poster. Like, it looks really, really awesome.
Yeah, that was NCAA characters, yeah. NCAA.
Exactly. It gave me that same feeling. Like, I would buy this as the poster. I liked it a lot. The facial expressions are really cool. I wish that maybe they're interacting a little more with each other, but I mean, that's just me being, like, very picky at this point. I like this picture a lot. It's awesome.
Yes, you heard it here, folks. You heard it here first, folks. Jeyodin was being impy. So yeah, I agree. I think this image is really, really perfect. If I had to quibble about some things, it would be that the color work is a bit too dreamlike, so it's a bit too muted, so that some of the separation of the characters gets lost because it's all kind of got this white glow over it, so everything kind of got a little bit of a fogginess to it, but still really attractive. And again, I could not agree with Jeffrey more. In fact, Jeffrey, that's your best comment of the night, son. The hair on She-Ra is so well rendered, even though it's cartoony. It's rendered so well. Couldn't agree more. Lots of personality as well in all the faces. Her opponent is Green Drawlin. And this is, took me a minute to figure out what this is. Stranger Things. Stephen Alcaide. What do you make of this?
Good usage of, like, the background. I personally think that the colors need to be brighter, a little bit more clear.
All right, Jay, what do you make of this?
I like that it's telling a story. And I agree that colors probably need to be a little brighter. But honestly, if the brushstrokes, I don't know. I really like the brushstrokes. I will say that if the colors were brighter or a little bit less dark, that you'd be able to see everything that's going on a little more. But then again, I guess you could probably say the same thing if it wasn't as sketchy too. But I think the strongest thing about this is that it's telling a story. You know that, 11 is eating waffles and using her powers to put syrup on, things while she watches TV, and this dude's coming home or leaving and watching her do it. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting. I think that this is, again, this is one of those pieces where you see it, it's very sketchy. It's hard to tell if this is the style of the artist or if this is just the artist kind of trying to do something quickly. Like, you question the choices, just kind of like with we talk about Modern Comics in the last team. I assume this artist, obviously they're in the tournaments. We know this artist has talent, but it's just hard to tell. Like, if this was a choice that they intended to make, or if this was just kind of a nature of them, trying to get everything done in time. I think, unfortunately, because this is so sketchy and therefore it lacks a lot of definition, I think that the MPJ piece this is one of those matchups where we've seen some other stuff that's sketchy like this, and this would have been probably more competitive had they gone up against another artist who's sketchy. But when you go up against an artist whose line work is so finite and the clarity of what they're delivering is so exact, something like this then really has to be unique in so many ways. And even like we talked about DC Superhero Girls by Andrew Scribbles, where she had a lot of stuff going on that you can look at. Here, there's really just the one thing. Like, your eyes don't drift around the scene, despite the fact it's so sketchy. Like, your eyes just kind of see it. There's nothing more to look at. If you're looking at it more than a glance, it's because you're trying to figure out exactly what the sketchy stuff is meant to be, as opposed to, here's something here. Here's what's on TV. Here's what's on the wall. Here's what's on the couch. Here's there's no additional work being put into this. But an interesting image nonetheless. I do like Seven and her powers, but just not enough here for me to be drawn in by this. I think this is an easy victory for MPJ. Does anybody disagree with that?
Nope.
MPJ and she's got currently a 75% tally of all votes, so she's looking like she's going to take that matchup. Next up is 99 Violence, someone whose name just always bothers me. I don't know, like why would you refer yourself as 99, and then why violence? Why violence? Like what are you trying to say with this? Like 21 Savage. I remember 21 Savage when he got arrested by ICE, which is not funny. But I just remember like his mom said this thing, like she's like, he's like, why would they do this? He's such a sweet kid. I'm thinking his name is 21 Savage. His name isn't like green flower or blue sky. It's 21 Savage. It was kind of bizarre, but that's what it is. He's much he's a different generation to me. My hip hop is a little more mundane, I guess, compared to that. Anyway, 99 Violence has an image kind of similar to what I was telling you guys earlier about how to hold the gun and how you would normally see it. So this is an interesting piece. It reminds me of Icarus Lion in the sense that I can't tell if this was, I assume this was drawn and then he did some post-production work in like a software to kind of give it a three-dimensional feel to it. Because if this were rendered, I would not be shocked. But there's something going on here that's different from your average traditional drawn comic. I don't know what this is from either via Netflix. I don't know what this is from on Netflix. Does anyone know what this is meant to be from Netflix?
I do not know.
Yeah, I feel like this is that Altered Carbon series, but again, I don't know for sure. Okay, so with that being said, Jeffrey, what did you make of this?
Really good perspective on the gun. I like how the light and the placement of the light and the shadow really make your eyes follow the certain direction that I want to say complements the image because it's kind of at this 45-degree angle. And yeah, pose is really good. Gun perspective and detail is also really good. And the shading is actually pretty on point as well.
Yeah, and the shading is great. And one thing that I think is just that is to me because look, there's some stuff with the hand doesn't make sense. That the way that gun is situated and the way that thumb is compared to the fingers, that hand is not natural, folks. But the pose is really good. But that background is dynamite. That background is dynamite. I mean, we've talked all night tonight about people who attempted to do backgrounds and cities and so forth and how they weren't really that good. This is a great cityscape in the background. This is truly, truly good. Jeyodin, what did you make of this piece? Jeyodin, hurry hell up.
Oh, sorry, I was already talking. I guess I didn't mute it. Sorry about that. I really liked his face. I really liked the fact that the background, exactly like what you said, it's just muted enough to where you can see all of the detail, but you obviously know that it's like a really foggy type of city. The colors I thought were really cool. Yeah, overall, I like this picture a lot.
Okay, their opponent is Drawification, and this is a Stranger Things. Again, Stranger Things is a very popular series. This is from season 2, I think, when Will was going all crazy. This is an interesting image. I think, again, this is an image where the artist has a lot of skill, and there's some things they're trying to do here that perhaps might be a tad too complex because they're trying to squeeze all the characters in, and just. There's a lot lost by not focusing on one thing that you could really focus on and do well instead of trying to put too many characters in here. And I think the artist, possibly skill-wise, I don't know, is unable to deliver on all those things. Kind of like DCreationist saw at the beginning where he had Batman and Dexter, and it's like his talent level may or may not be there. I don't know how good his talent level is ultimately, but I know that for every character that he got mostly right, there was something big that was wrong with the character, and then the other characters were not nearly as good enough to where you're thinking if you maybe just did Batman or Dexter and just put all your effort into making a really good image with that, you could have maybe had a really competitive image. Given how strong 99 Violence's piece is, even though that thumb is really wild, I think this piece just doesn't do enough right to really mount a competition with that. Even though this young artist clearly has talent, the question is how much talent to compete at this level. Too many characters on here for me, and none of them are interesting in terms of their depiction. What did you make of that, Steven? You agree with that, or what thoughts did you have?
The only thing I would say about regarding this image is that a little bit too grainy. I like the lighting. The lighting is good. Color's a little bit too faded for me. There are a few anatomical inequality, like incorrect anatomical features, but overall, it's kind of interesting, but not necessarily great.
All right. What did you make of this, Jay?
I'm a big fan of Stranger Things, so I was able to pick out every single character. But I wish that maybe they would have worked a little bit more on the faces to make them look more like them. Other than that, I like the fact that their color work, being traditional. I'm not sure exactly how. If they did one image or one person, I feel like this would have been way better, exactly like what you said. But from what they did, I feel like they did a pretty good job with their color work as well. I don't know what that blue thing is. That what's his name is, standing in or whatever, that blue background. So that's kind of confusing to me. But everything else, it was pretty awesome.
Just want to say real quickly, this artist, Drawfication, is from Germany, and 99 Violence, again, with the remarkable name, 99 Violence, is actually from India. So our first artist from India tonight. So again, international, folks, international, greatest tournament in the world, Saturday and March Madness. So I totally agree. I think Drawfication, again, trying some interesting stuff, but ultimately the artist would be better served having just focused on one character, and therefore they could have really allowed their creative opportunities to showcase appropriately by really focusing on one character. Here, there's too many characters. I agree with you, Jay, that you can't make out really. I mean, all of them have round faces. So other than the fact that one's wearing a hat and one is black, otherwise than that, they all have the exact same face. So that's, a bit of a problem there. 99 Violence, again, ridiculously long thumb and hand, but the face, the body, and that background, just all A pluses. The gun looks a little fake to me too, but all in all, this is a much stronger image. So looks like 99 Violence would take this match. Also, it appears that way via the fan vote. Does anybody disagree? Jay, Steven, Jeffrey, anybody?
Nope.
All right, next up, we got to keep it rolling, folks. Let's get going. Get these answers quick. Next up, Rachel Bryant versus Art of Jins. Rachel Bryant here, her Netflix original show. I assume this is an anime. Does anybody know what this anime is? I don't know what that is. What anime is it? Huh?
I don't know.
Violet Evergarden.
What did you say?
It's Violet Evergarden. Really beautiful looking show.
Cool. All right. That was from John Oliver, if you guys will follow that show. Okay, well, this is interesting. That's all I can say. It's an interesting piece. I do not know the show. I'm not that big of a fan of the anime that's on Netflix. But Violet Evergarden. But I do love the character's look. I love her kind of Full Metal Alchemist military sort of outfit, and like her hairstyle. So I do like her look quite a bit. I don't know the significance, again, because it's a series I don't know, of the papers and the I love you. This strikes me as an image that, again, kind of was offering some interesting stuff. But, I'm not sure. I'm not sure with I don't quite know, again, know the significance of the paper. And so I guess stylistically it kind of makes sense, but it just, again, if you don't know the property, it doesn't really grab you in any meaningful way. It's just basically a picture of a young woman with her hand on her heart and a bunch of paper flowing through. So anyway, interesting piece. She writes letters. Thank you, Amber. She writes letters like every other person in human history. Jeffrey, what did you make of this piece?
I don't know too much about the show either. but I like the shading is done pretty well. I think the lighting is pretty accurate. The hair detail could have been done better, but it's not too bad. Um, the papers are okay. I kind of wish that the letters were more shaped towards the on the paper, but yeah, not too bad of an image.
I mean, again, I guess I don't understand the style. I don't understand. Like again, folks, like I'll say this again: if you're trying to do a tournament like this, you've got to give us. You've got to set the expectation. So when I see this image, like again, like it's not good enough to tell me she's written a letter. Like I don't know what that means. You got like that. That is not. And it's not your job to tell me. Obviously, I appreciate the responses from people who are live chatting with us, but that's not what you're supposed to do. You need to sell me on everything I need to know for this image. And when you don't, like for example, again, like these are papers. So one says "I love you," okay, and she's got her hand on her heart. She's looking up in a rather kind of possibly romantic way. So I'm digging all of that, but then the papers just kind of go down. We don't see her right arm as a result of it. It kind of goes down, and then the papers get smaller and smaller and smaller. You know, so it's just kind of an odd setup for me. So I just don't quite. Again, I'm lost as to what the significance of this is, and because otherwise I'm looking at it thinking, well, then perhaps her arm, perhaps the person didn't want to draw her other arm, so she just has all these papers covering up her arm. Like I don't know if this is a style. I don't know if it's significant. It just seems awkward. Jay, what did you make of this piece?
At first, I actually thought that this was the girl that shot the gun in Full Metal Alchemist. So I was really confused as to who this person was. But overall, I think that it was drawn pretty well. I think that you can see that she, definitely is feeling emotion with her hand over her heart, and her face. She looks like she's just kind of distraught right now, or at least worried. I feel like the hair probably could have been rendered a little bit better, but yeah, overall, I think it's pretty okay.
All right. Next up, her competitor is Art of Jins. He has a Baki the Grappler piece. Again, the forehand here looks a little weird, but all in all, it's Baki. He looks like Baki. Works for me for the most part. Again, there's some definite faults here, but it works for the most part. I mean, that those abs, even though I would kill for those abs, folks, because again, all I have is like a one pack that juts out. Those are not abs on any planet known to man. Stephen Alcaide, someone who has abs, what do you make of this?
Good usage of perspective. The coloring is good. The line work is decent. Just a few anatomical mistakes.
All right, Jay, what did you make of this?
I like the color work. That hand is jacked up. I totally agree. But I kind of just talked it up to you like a style. Granted, I mean that's something that you need to work through if that is the case. But yeah, I mean overall, I think it definitely looks like Baki. I instantly got that, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, so this will be an interesting contest. I think that when you look at this, that's a massive miss with that hand. That's for sure. But and those abs again, just are like those are not abs. Those are just a series of lines. Those are not abs. But the face looks correct. The pose is really good and dynamic. Even the fist is a little jacked up in the other hand. So there's a lot here that if this artist were to go forward, they would have to really spend a bit more time to get the right opportunities. But to me, this is a better image than the image from Rachel Bryant, and that's no disrespect to Rachel Bryant, who, by the way, is from the United States, and Art of Jins is from. I'll find out where Art of Jins is from. But yes, I mean, that to me, Art of Jins has a more compelling piece for this matchup. So, but the fans are voting far more in her favor, not dramatically, but enough. So we'll see what comes out of the votes from the rest of our staff. To look and see how the votes shake out. I something tells me to be a lot closer than what currently the fan vote is. Let's see. Last Team Bully Eaters, Chris.00001, who was a ranked person for this team. He joins whoever was at the top here. He joins JP Evida is one of the ranked artists in this group. He's going up against an artist named Kujin. Chris, we discovered him via the pre-March Art Madness tournament. This is Stranger Things. I think I could say pretty comfortably this is the best Stranger Things we've seen tonight. What do you make of this, Steven?
Good, fantastic line work. Very ominous atmosphere. Good ambience.
All right, Jay, what'd you make of this?
I like this piece a lot. The red in the background just, gives you that feeling of, wow, we're in danger. And you can totally see it on all of their faces.
Yeah, I think it's the best image for Stranger Things. I mean, the image is stiff. All the characters are kind of lined up together and stuff. And I think they look a lot younger than they actually are. They look, I mean, Seven looks kind of like a child. She's not that thick. She's a bit thinner. She has a bit more of an androgynous look to her, but all in all, I love the fact you can make out the monster in the background. It is very ominous. It's a bit too much red on red, kind of like what we saw in Monitor Comics, but nonetheless, there's still a lot of stuff going on here, and but it's depicted well. I mean, everything is symmetrically the way it's supposed to be. So I think it's the best image again for Stranger Things that we've seen tonight. Now their competition is Kujin. I do not know what this is. Someone please tell me what Netflix show this is meant to be. Let me go to Jeffrey. Jeffrey, quickly, what do you make of this?
I kind of like the scene that it portrays. It sort of reminds me of a Yu-Gi-Oh card, actually, a little bit.
Say that again.
It kind of reminds me of a Yu-Gi-Oh card a little bit. Just yeah, just the way that the composition is. I like that it paints out a scene. The lighting's pretty good. I feel like it should have been orange instead of white. Then the poses, they're a little bit messed up. But yeah. That's what I say. I don't know what series this is either.
Someone said "End the effing world," so perhaps that's what this is. The background is very anime, no question. The explosion is kind of classic anime explosion. So yeah, I do like that. I do like the not quite lens flare, but not lens flare, but the again, because of the explosion. I don't know if that's from tanks or whatever, or gasoline, but there's kind of that vapor thing to it. So really interesting piece. What did you make of this, Jeyodin?
The blurriness, I like that because you can tell that they're close to the explosion, and as the viewer, you're feeling it. The anatomy is off. I wish that like that girl, I don't know. I feel like she should be screaming as opposed to it looks like she's like pregnant and giving birth. Like that's how her mouth, like it seems like she's moaning like in pain as opposed to screaming because there's an explosion behind her. So I would change that. But overall, I think it comes across as, hey, there's an explosion behind you. So.
Yeah, no, agreed. Yeah, it's interesting. Somebody says it's a live action show, so I don't know. I don't know what this is, but anyway, really, I like the scene, I like the way it's set, but it's very hard for me to because again, it's like I said, folks, I've said this before. If you watch any of the March Art Madness from the previous years, I bring this up all the time. When you've got a choice like this, and it's in a difficult category like Netflix original, always choose something that is unmistakable. Because if you don't, then it requires you to really define what it is. Because and make it clear. Like you've got to set the expectation. Because if I'm looking at the piece and I don't know what it is, and you're assuming I know what it is, therefore the scene is happening, will make sense. Well, if I don't know what it is, it makes no sense, right? I don't have to know what Batman is for the most part to understand Batman, but again, Batman is very popular, so I don't have to do much of a leap. Ghostbusters, it's like there's some stuff that's just recognizable, but when you go something like this, the scene is very cool, and there's a lot here to like, but I still don't understand the context of it, so it's hard for me to evaluate it other than just artwork. And from an artwork perspective, I think I prefer this image a little bit over the Chris piece because of the because of the stuff going on with the explosion and how beautiful that looks, and the blurriness at the bottom. But then again, you know, I look at specific aspects of the characters, and you know, there's a looseness there, like the hair. We talk about hair all night tonight, and the hair on the woman is just a mess. It's not. There's no real, you know, clarification to the hair. You know, I mean, it's just lines on her head, basically. So I don't know. But to me, it's kind of a little bit of a toss up with Chris. I still probably would go to Chris though, because he's got more characters on screen. All of them are rendered very well. It just feels like a more. I think this piece has a more interesting scene is telling versus that one, which is more of an illustration. But that one, again, is complex with a lot of different pieces to it, and the pieces are rendered very well. So that's where I would go on that end. So who do you think won this round, this particular matchup, Jeyodin?
Stranger Things.
Jeffrey, which one did you take?
The Stranger Things one.
All right. Okay, so folks, we're just going to do a quick recap of this group. I'll say it verbally. JP, Eba, Adon versus DC Sledge. We pretty much all agreed that JP Eba's Luke Cage. He's an artist from the Philippines. His Luke Cage image was very strong. Bezin, artist who is from Iraq. Was it Iraq or Iran? It was Iraq. So really awesome. We had our artist for the first time from Israel, artist for the first time from Iraq, up against Tokyo McFly. We thought that was a 50-50, and that's going to be an interesting one to see. Gary Lytle up against Elzek. Elzek, by the way, is from Serbia. He had a Daredevil piece. We felt that Daredevil piece, just technically, it was a bit more interesting, even though there's a lot of negatives to it, including the fact that Elzek got the work in late. So we'll see how that plans out. MPJ versus Green Drawing. MPJ's image we thought was very strong. It was very beautiful. One of the best images tonight. In fact, I think she might end up being a ranked artist next week because her work was really good. Featuring Shira. We had 99 Violence from India versus Drawification. 99 Violence had an altered carbon piece we thought was really good. Rachel Brady Art had a piece from a series called Violent Everguard versus Art of Jin's Baki the Grappler. Both these pieces had some issues, and so that's a closer tie. And then Chris000 from, I believe he's from the Philippines as well. He has a great image featuring the Stranger Thing kids, and he's taking on Kujin. And it's looking like right now, at least, like it's going to be the Stranger Things work from Chris. All right. So, folks, we are at the very last team. We're not going to take a break because it is 2 o'clock, and we're going to be wrapping up here. I'm serious in 30 minutes. So, that being said, are my folks ready? You guys ready? Because we're going to zoom through this. Everybody ready?
Yep.
All right.
Yes, sir.
I know you're ready. I can hear the energy in you, Jeffrey. All right. So, now, folks, this is Team Clock Striker, and we did video games for this group. Video games. So, this first artist, ladies and gentlemen, was a finalist in last year's March Art Madness. We have her ranked as the #1 artist in this entire tournament because we think she's that talented. She's going to be that much of a threat. And I think she proved it with her very first pick. This are the characters from various video games. I think it's really attractive. What do you make of this piece, Stephen Alcaide?
Really love it. I love all the Nintendo characters looking at the DS as Mario plays it. I honestly really would like to have like this hanging on my wall.
All right. Amber, by the way, is from Puerto Rico. What did you make of this piece, Jeyodin?
It looks like an amazing poster that I would actually have on my wall. I love this. I love all the characters and their facial expressions. You can tell that it's the brand. I would love to do something like this for Saturday AM. And it looks really cool.
Nice. All right. So Amber is up against Toro Spick, who did a great image. White Manga's Apple Black series. It was a piece that was really popular in our pre-tournament. So we had this artist figured as an artist that would really be tough. And he is. He does a great image here featuring Sub-Zero in Mortal Kombat. What did you make of this piece, Jeffrey?
All I can really say is that it's really dynamic. I love how the line work is. It's sort of blocky, but it's also really clean at the same time. And it shows that the speed on the hand is done really well as well, and especially the light effect is pretty cool too.
Yeah, Jay, what did you make of this?
I really like this picture too. You can tell the energy. His facial expression is amazing. All of the spot blacks, contrasting with the light. I thought that was really cool. This entire image is amazing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this is this will be a tough one to judge because this is just a really talented artist. Toro's pick is from the U.S. Again, Ambar is from Puerto Rico, which is still the U.S. And it's a really interesting piece. My one objection to this piece is that the way the camera angle is just kind of bothers me a little bit because everything else is so dead perfect. But the camera angle basically is kind of just nestled in such a way to where it's like, had I seen more of his body, it'd be possibly a bit more dynamic. I know they want to get a closer piece of his hand, emanating the cold power. It just comes across as light for right now. Stuff that if I seen a bit more of an effect of ice brewing, then that would make it worthwhile to be zoomed in. Instead, it's just a light show going on there. So when you look at the piece, his bottom fist being there at the bottom, it looks really it's a little awkward to me. I wish the camera had been pulled back a bit, or they had done something to really convey why the camera is so zoomed in on this. That being said, it's gorgeous color work. It's a very moody piece. It's a great piece, very competitive piece. I will say that as of right now, Ambar is just destroying Toro's pick in the popular vote. Which way would you go, Jeffrey?
I like the Smash Brothers one more. It's definitely closer material.
Which way would you go, Jay?
Smash Brothers.
Yep, I have to say I think I'm the same boat. I really like Toro's pick. I think he's a super talented artist. This is how it works, folks. Sometimes the luck of the draw, and I think Toro's pick just ran into a buzzsaw with Ambar. Ambar, again, she was our number one ranked artist. We said very early on she was going to be hell, and I think she is. Next up is the Butcher versus Pondo Kuma. The Butcher versus Pondo Kuma. The Butcher is from, I saw his thing earlier, he's from Bahrain, our first artist from Bahrain. This is obviously Kirby. It's an interesting, cute little pattern in the background. What do you make of this, Jeffrey?
Graphically pleasing, really simple. I appreciate that the line work is so smooth. If it was done by hand, that's a technical feat, I believe. So yeah, simple and really nice.
Jeffrey, what do you make of this?
You said Jeffrey?
Damn it, Jeyodin.
I thought it was amazing. It looks like a sticker. It's very, very clean. It looks exactly like how it should, and I like that a lot.
Agreed. All right, next up we have Pondo Kuma from the United States. First time artist that we've ever seen before doing a version of Chun-Li. It's got a nice little design pattern in the background. This is obviously based on the Capcom character, and typically Capcom, this pose is a very well rendered pose for Chun-Li. Cosplay artists try to pull it off all the time. So this is a very standard image. He brings, he or she, I don't know if Pondo's a guy or a girl, brings in their take on this by offering some interesting aspects to the character definition that you don't quite get. The character's face is a little different as well. I like, again, the pattern in the background. There's really nothing negative about this piece. In fact, the most negative thing I think is the hand, the right hand that's down near her shoe. That hand, the hand doesn't quite look right. But again, when you get to an image that for the most part, everything working really well for it. That's kind of a nitpick. Well, I think her leg looks a little weird too. Her leg is up. That's very actually extremely weird. What do you? It's very weird where I look at it. Because that's not quite natural. What did you make of this piece? What did you make of this piece, Stephen Alcaide?
Simple, clean, aesthetically pleasing, nice color palette, good pose. Overall, very pleasant.
What did you make of this, Jeyodin?
I totally agree. It's very simple. It looks like it could be a poster. I wish the thighs were a little bit thicker because Chun-Li is like super thick. But I do like everything else about this.
Hey,
it looks really cool.
Stop real quick. Don't you think that there's something weird going on with that leg that's up? I mean, just
yeah. And it looks like it's like there's muscles in places that it shouldn't be. But I mean, I just kind of put that to his style or his style. Say it again.
You don't see her pelvic area.
Yeah.
Like that top leg, like he's got it kind of curling in. If you follow the line, it comes down and it kind of curls in, and you're like, wait a minute, it shouldn't be curling in. First of all, it should be an extension of her hip, but that's the problem, that you don't see her hips. You don't see her hips. You don't see her pelvic area.
Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, there's something off about it. So yeah, that should be it. But I mean, overall, I think it's a pretty easy on the eyes picture.
Yeah. So interesting pick. Let's about to check and see how these artists did in terms of getting the work in on time. I don't have that list in front of me, although I do have the list. That being said, I think I think the Butcher piece is, as you say, is pretty flawless for what it is, but it's also very simple. So I think what some people don't realize is that sometimes it's harder to do. So there's a real fidelity to this. On the flip side, the Chun-Li piece is very well rendered, although anatomy is way off in a couple of key areas. But at least when you look at it initially, you don't study it well enough. You can fall for it very easily. I think that's what's happened, because the popular vote was Pano Kuma is destroying the Butcher. But I will say again that when you look at it more and more, it just drags me more and more out of it. Because it doesn't make any sense the way the leg looks. Like if you really let your eye look at it, like it will look like, trust me, it will start to bother you. But it is an interesting piece. I like both pieces for the most part. Probably would give it the edge to the Butcher personally, just because I know how hard it is to do simple things, and because Pano Kuma's image here, like I said, is off. But that being said, though, I think all of these artists could go further and do well. Any thoughts as to who advances on this one? Who do you think advances on this one, Jeffrey?
I like the last one. I really like the last one more.
You mean the Butcher, Kirby?
Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Jay?
I'm going for the Butcher too.
Okay. And what about you, Steven?
Panda for me.
What's that?
Panda.
Okay, got it. All right. Next up, Tenshi Draws versus Art Samsimi. Art Samsimi, I'm pretty sure, is from Morocco or somewhere like that. Tenshi Draws got Overwatch, I believe this is. I don't know much about the video game, never played it. This is an interesting image, a lot of dynamic stuff going on here with all these different characters. But the problem, as we said many times, folks, when you put all that dynamism in, you got to really execute, because sometimes the stuff that's wrong stands out even more. So there's a lot of things here to admire and like, and there's a lot of stuff here once you dig into it, you're like, oh my God, this is really weird. The legs of this girl in the front, her legs and his relationship to her body make no sense. The ninja character, his leg in the foreground doesn't make any sense. In the background, I mean, so some things here that just don't quite fit much at all. But that being said, though, what do you make of this, Steven? What did you make of these characters here?
I like the line art. Good dynamic poses. The colors are just slightly a little bit too dull, in my opinion. But overall, Very cool.
What'd you make of this, Jay?
I like all the action. You can totally feel it, especially that cowboy-looking dude in the background who's pointing the gun right at the other dude. No, I think he looks fantastic. His facial expression, same thing with that black dude in the right top corner. Also that ninja cat guy. I don't know. I've never seen this show, but I mean, I totally agree with you. There's so much going on that there's things that probably should have been focused on that weren't, and because of that, like the legs, some of the arm of that blue guy, it's too short. What else? The background, it kind of just seeps right into the black cloak of that bad guy or whatever. So yeah, overall, I think it's pretty cool, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I mean, it's like, again, this is one of those things where the artist is trying to put too many things into the image. Where they get away with it, and this again is one of the drawbacks, one of the pluses. It's kind of like a couple of artists we've seen tonight. One of the pluses when you have this much stuff happening into an image is that if the character designs you're doing are really awesome and you're rendering the character designs as intended, well, all these characters look really cool. Like, it doesn't mean that the poses are great, it doesn't mean that the artwork is that great, but it means the character designs that you did not create are awesome. And so again, that's a choice that you make as an artist in a competitive environment like this, is to play in a lane that you know is popular. So when you choose, Altered Carbon, you better do a good Altered Carbon, because most people won't know about it. Or Violent Everguard, most people won't know about it. But something like Overwatch, a game I've never played, but I know what it is, the character designs are so damn good that it takes a piece like this that has a lot of issues, and it makes the piece look very dynamic, So there you go. Next up is Art Samsimi from Morocco. This is a Mega Man. I'm a huge fan of Mega Man, but I don't want to be nostalgic like Jay was earlier. So I'll just say that this is Mega Man. Mega Man. Doesn't quite look exactly like Mega Man. Again, I don't know if that's by design or what, but it's Mega Man. Jeffrey, what'd you make of Mega Man?
I love the sort of blocky line work there is to it, and also this triangular shape that's made from all the characters. It's got this like great composition. Like, it could be a sticker and a poster at the same time. It's really, really cool.
Yeah. Jeyodin, what'd you make of this?
I totally agree. I really like all the flat colors, how there's not that much shading going on. I really like that scissors head in the middle. That's probably my favorite part of this entire thing. But yeah, overall, I like it a lot.
Yeah, I Mega Man himself doesn't quite look right to me. His face certainly does not look right, but all the characters look so fantastic. It is a bit stylized. I really like this piece a lot. I really like this piece a lot. And again, this is another example of, these are great character designs. Capcom, again, the other game, Overwatch, I think is by Blizzard Activision, if I'm not mistaken, but great character designs. They try to do the Capcom thing for sure. But this is just great character design work based on the amazing and legendary Mega Man. This, for me, is my favorite of this match. Again, I think Tenchi Draws did a good job trying to render stuff, but again, there's a lot of issues here artistically that just stand out to me. The legs of that girl character just does not work for me at all. The guy holding the gun, even that's kind of stilted a little bit. Not the cowboy character, but the sort of blue wannabe ninja type thing. But again, the characters look great, and so the result of that, the character designs look great. So the result of that, they kind of it makes the piece very exciting. But when you look at the Mega Man piece, you just feel like, from a design standpoint, even from a stylistic standpoint, because the artist is putting their own stamp on it while still being faithful to the original designs, I think it's just a stronger piece, personally. So where would you go with this, Jay? Who would you have winning this?
All right, Samsy, Mega Man.
And where would you go with this, Jeffrey?
Same, the Mega Man one.
And where would you go with this, Steven?
Art Samsy.
Yeah, I actually looked at this with the votes that our group had done as the team. White Manga, Andrea Voros, Raymond Brown, all of our staff and team member stuff. And we overwhelmingly are different from the popular. The popular vote is all about Overwatch. But the entire staff and team who have weighted votes, mind you, are Sam Simi all the way. So we'll see how this shakes out. We'll see. I got to look at the docked points piece and see if anyone of this group falls in that. If our Sam Simi did, he might be out no matter what we thought. Next up, some of you guys may not have seen this. One of the artists' artwork again came in late, so he didn't have it up when it was supposed to be up. But Strato, my art is this piece here. Trying to find out where this artist is from. It doesn't really matter at this moment. This is video game, Deadbolt. I don't know what video game this is. Does anyone know what video game this is? Feel free to let me know.
Nope.
Strato, my art is from the Philippines. Don't know what video game this is, and if it's not a video game, then and they're up against another artist, which is named Ramirez is awesome. What do you make of this piece, Steven? No, I'm sorry, Jeffrey.
It looks like a comic book cover. That's the thing I like the most about it. The hands are pretty off. I do like that texture that's on the jacket. The colors are really cool too. And yeah.
Yeah, it's got a very moody feel to it for sure. What did you make of this, Jay?
I totally agree. The jacket's probably my favorite thing. The jacket and the hands, that texture is just like really fun to look at, honestly. I actually see this as a poster for like maybe some type of scary cartoon movie, but it looks really cool.
For those of you who don't know what this property is, it is a video game. Definitely look at this video game if you get a chance. Google this video game. Holy crap. Okay. Let's go to the competition, which is Ramirez is awesome. Ramirez is awesome. Definitely decided to go the most popular games out right now. One of the most popular games out right now. DMC. Ramirez is awesome. Got their work in late, by the way. Super late. What do you make of this, Stephen Alcaide?
The drawings are slightly a little bit too busy for my taste. The colors are just a little bit too flat, but anatomically, it's doing fairly well. It's doing relatively well. The background's a little bit busy though, but oh well, it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I was in the video game industry when the original DMC came out. I remember, being really excited about that game. It was coming from at that point. I was an executive at Blockbuster, so I was bringing in the titles and so forth for bringing in video game projects. I remember this. It was it was an interesting title, really cool title. But I've just been amazed at where it's gone because I never thought it was that cool. So it's interesting. I think there's some stuff here that kind of works, kind of doesn't work. I think the characters all look like they're supposed to, for sure. But then like he's got this thing where he's kind of giving us this is where trying to do more stuff that is needed. So we get these alternate visions of their kind of demon forms, and they're not there enough for it to really have any sort of specific meaning to it, in my opinion. And then they also just anatomically don't quite work, so then we get this like the character on the right, the short-haired, white-haired character, which aren't they all? All these characters are like short, white-haired characters or long, white-haired characters, but they're all like half white, half Asian. There's like his demon form just seems far skinnier, than his human form, and I don't know if that's normal, but it raises more questions by trying to do something stylistic like that. I agree with Steve as well in the background, not quite connecting. Jay, what did you make of this piece?
I had no idea what this was. I really need to play more video games, clearly. I do, however, think it's pretty interesting. All of their transformations constantly. slight transformations. I think they look very interesting. I think the line work is very cluttered, though. I mean, I'm not sure if that's exactly how they're supposed to look. Maybe they're just like so detailed.
That's what I'm
They
saying.
are okay. Well, I mean, yeah, I think that probably could have been reworked a little bit. And yeah, the background is so moot that it just kind of blends in with the guy on the right, his shirt. He could be invisible in the middle, and no one would really notice. So I mean, I don't know. I think this is a pretty interesting image, but overall, it's there's some things that need to be worked on it.
Yeah, so I mean, so this, as I said before, we got the stuff in late, so it wasn't all up. So some of you guys would have seen it. This one, I'm pretty sure, is going to come down to the wire, and there's issues here in terms of one of the artists getting in. So we'll see where it comes out with our votes and such from the group. All of our creators did vote on the art this here, but not all the fans got to see this piece. So fan vote for this one might not be as significant. Whoops, went a little too far there. All right, next up is white hair artist. So right now I can't say who. I mean, if I had to say, it'd be Strat on my art would be the winner of that matchup. Next up is white hair artist versus Rosa Studios. White hair artist has a Mario piece complete with some Pikachu action going on. What did you make of this, Jay?
I thought it was pretty funny. I actually have not seen the Detective Pikachu movie yet, but I'm not even sure if it's out yet, actually. But I thought I did hear his voice when I read this, so I thought that was pretty cool. I really like Luigi in the background, and just the fact that there's a story technically being told. Artistically, I wish that Mario wouldn't look so. I don't know. He looks weird to me. His head is like humongous. The background is very flat. It's not really like I wish it would have been at an angle as well. Just like the characters, they're looking off to the side. So maybe if the background was somehow coinciding with that, that would have been cool. But overall, I think it's a pretty interesting piece.
Yeah, definitely an interesting piece. I couldn't agree with you more. I think the butcher that we saw earlier. He did Kirby. I think, again, simplistic artwork, very hard to do. This to me is proof of that, because this is a piece where, these are all simple line characters in theory. And I agree with you, Jay. Like, there's something that's kind of off about this when you look at it. Although there's a lot of stuff that works. I mean, the fact that the stuff here doesn't work is I don't think the text mat is needed to be here. The text boxes, the Pikachu is needed to be there. And then the grass seems off. Otherwise than that, the pipe and the bricks are perfect. Luigi is perfect. The little black ball things are perfect. But Mario and Pikachu, for some reason, to me, just look off. They're round where they shouldn't be, and they're long where they shouldn't be. So where it should be round, they're long, and when it should be long, they're round. And so it's just a little bit awkward. It just goes to show you how tough it is to do this stuff. Real quickly, Jeffrey, what'd you make of this?
Yeah, I like the fact that it had a little story. It's a charming type of funny. The backgrounds are pretty simplistic looking. Yeah, I kind of agree with Jeyodin. Mario does look a little weird, but overall, I do like the story of the image.
All right, next up is Rosa Studies. Now, this will be another one where the artist took some liberties of what I said they could do, and as a result of that, they're going to be docked some points. Rosa Studies here has a title that I know well, as well as in the video game industry, Jack and Daxter from Naughty Dog. Naughty Dog, it was part of the team that worked on Crash Bandicoot and stuff for marketing, so know this property well, but everything else in this picture is not that. So you look at it, you're just like, dude, you just were hell bent on trying to draw. And when I say like you got to follow the rules, like this person is definitely going to lose this because of this, because they're going to get docked points for a variety of reasons. But like this is one thing where it's like it was so unnecessary. Jack and Daxter is a great property. There's so many cool stuff you can do with Jack and Daxter, but the artist clearly wanted to draw what they wanted to draw, so they threw the stuff in there. And I equate this to when to why March Madness is so significant of a competition, because it forces you to have to not draw what you want to draw and to have to learn to appreciate other things. And I think what a lot of comic artists miss is that They're like, oh, I'm going to draw Batman. Well, you get the DC, and they're like, hey, look, you're talented. We want to give you a shot. That already is amazing. But then they're like, yeah, we don't think you're ready for Batman yet, so we're going to have you draw Ambush Bug. We're going to have you draw, if you're at Marvel, we're not going to have you draw X-Men just yet. We're going to have you draw Spider-Ham. And then to get back at them, you're like, well, I'll squeeze X-Men in here where I can. And it's like, and that, that's what this feels like to me, because there's no reason for these other characters, because you could try to make the argument, well, there are video games too, but One Punch Man isn't a video game, so it's very silly. Yes, if you try to throw J-Stars in there or Jump Force, again, it doesn't work. None of it works, and so to have it as part of a Jack and Daxter scene just really, really is a bit lame. That being said, there's an artist named Jim Calafiore, who was a comic artist that I like the stuff. It was fairly decent. This artist reminds me so much of Jim Calafiore for comic books. Anyway, those are my thoughts on this piece. Real quickly, Jay, what did you make of this?
Yeah, I didn't really like this picture that much. There was too much going on. I thought at first that it was Jump Force, but I didn't know that was Jack and Daxter at the bottom, so it really threw me off. And then I was like, okay, well, I didn't even know if we should do this. So overall, though, I mean, artistically, it's interesting. You constantly look at it. You see more things. But the lighting is pretty. The lighting's okay. I would say the background is probably the worst thing. It kind of like throws off the entire image. The fact that it's just like gray in the background. But yeah, that's what I had to say about it.
Yeah. All right. Well, folks, we're gonna tighten things up a little bit here. We got just 3 more to go, and we're really running late here, so we're gonna tighten things up. We'll continue to have Jay and Jeffrey speak. I think we're gonna cut out Steven, unfortunately, just because we just need to make this thing move faster. We need some artistic views of this. So next up is Metal Oak versus George O. Brooks. Metal Oak. This is Metal Oak's work. It's Pokemon. What'd you take of this, Jeffrey?
Cool scene. Like the colors, like the lighting. Not bad.
You like the color, like the lighting. Okay, I don't like the pose. I don't quite know what's going on here. I know that one of the characters, Mewtwo. There's something about the character work I do kind of like, but like the camera angle a little bit, and it is kind of dingy in terms of the color. So I'm not sure quite how I feel on this piece. Although I must say that the character work does kind of work for me. I love that Pikachu. I love the way the Pikachu looks there. What did you make of this? What did you make of this, Jeyodin?
Yeah, I wish the color work was a little bit better. Like the fire, for example, if it was shining and you could see the light on everybody, that would be really cool. But overall, it was a pretty okay piece. So, all
right. Metal Oak is from the U.S. Just wanted to double check see where Metal Oak was from. George O. Brooks. This is competition. This is a piece that I did not know it was from before, but it's from Kingdom Hearts. I have a bit of an issue about that. We'll get to that in a minute. That being said, what did you make of this, Jay? I know you're a big Kingdom Hearts fan. What did you make of it?
Sorry. I liked it a lot, actually. I like the barnacles on his on that octopus dude. Kingdom Hearts Sora looks pretty cool. I liked it a lot. It looks really cool. The Keyblade is actually my favorite part. I can go on and on about that. It just looks like a ship. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I know you could. This is a really interesting piece. Again, I'm not a massive fan of Kingdom Hearts, but it took me a while to realize it was Sora. I wish he had chosen maybe something a little different, but the pose is okay. The sword is what helps it, because it is such a unique sword, and he does a good job of presenting it and giving it in there. I do think it doesn't quite match I think the character in the octopus guy, he's so much where the camera is for him and the way he's posed, that is not a natural state for Sora's sword to be hitting it. Just like they look like they're two different. They look like they're from two different scenes smashed together and made to look like it's part of the same scene. So there's a balance issue here that doesn't quite work, but it is still a really good piece. The color work is a little bit muted, but it's a good piece overall. So Jeffrey, between Metal Oak and George O. Brooks, what do you make? Who do you think advances?
George O. Brooks.
George O. Brooks. What do you think advances, Jeyodin?
George O. Brooks.
Who do you think advances, Stephen Alcaide?
JoJo Brooks.
Yeah, Georgia Brooks appears to be in the lead too in the popular vote. So there you go. But Metaloka, again, good job, Metaloka, some of the stuff you did there. All right, next up is Nick Allen versus Nohara Rock. This is the second to last one, folks. Another Devil May Cry image. I like this piece at least better, at least than I did the other Devil May Cry piece. What do you make of this? What do you make of this, Jeyodin?
I liked it a lot. I thought it looked pretty cool. You know, I mean, I think the hand kind of blends in too much into the hair right there. I'm not sure if you're looking at that hand right there, but like it looks too much like the hair and it blends in too well. So I mean, you know, I would get rid of that. But overall, it's a pretty, you know, pretty okay piece. You know, not the best thing, but it's pretty okay. I like it a lot. I like it pretty much.
I totally agree. I think that is literally how I feel about this piece. Is that it's just okay. Like it's and we're gonna see who they're up against, and the fact it's just okay is gonna be interesting because first of all the facial expressions here, none of them are interesting. So you kind of are like just looking at them, and they all look very young. So this is an artist that is still finding their way artistically. Because again, these characters, if they're meant to be older, they all look like children. And again, I don't know if that's meant to be, and they're not drawn that way. Whoops, they're not drawn that way. So as a result of that, the fact they look like children is not great because they're not drawn to be chibis or that's not a style, but it's just the artist's inability really to depict older-looking characters realistically or realistically enough. The pattern stuff that's going on there, that kind of weird smudge pattern. In certain parts of the art doesn't also grab me at all, doesn't provide any context to it. So it's an odd image. It's not bad. The character work, I mean, the characters all have relative anatomies. The headshots of the two characters work for the most part. I mean, you can, you know, they're posed appropriately enough, even though I don't necessarily think the image is done justice by the characters' faces. But regardless, you know, it's an interesting piece. It's just okay, is the way I feel about it. As Jay said, Nohara Rock is the piece that they're going up against. They took video game literally and gave us kind of an interesting piece here, where it's just art on display. What did you make of this piece, Jeffrey?
I had no idea what this was. I like the composition. I'm just very confused on what is actually going on. The art on the character is pretty good too.
Yeah, this is a Salvador Dali image. So it's like a impressionist image of video games.
That's a way to describe it.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, it had me looking at it quite a bit, so that's a positive, I guess. I was looking at it quite a bit, trying to understand what it was I was looking at and what were the choices that this artist was making. So that part I found kind of intriguing. But yeah, this is a very bizarre image. There's no question of that. This is a bizarre piece. And as someone who was part of the team that worked on PlayStation in North America, you know, it's interesting, but you know, there's a lot of ideas here. There's not enough solid execution to really send this through. And the fact that Nick Allen chose a popular title, even though I don't think the image was very dynamic, it's a popular title. I think this actually kind of allows it to scoot by. But there's just so many weird things going on with this piece here. The psychedelic skirt, the boobies with the X and triangle. It's just this is the black fingernails. this is a funky piece. I mean, they get credit for just trying something so unique. Who do you think advances out of this, Jeyodin? Do you think either person, any person?
Yeah, honestly, 50-50.
50-50. What about you, Steven?
Nohara.
Nohara. Steven's like, I like the funky. What about you, Jeffrey?
Yeah, Nohara, just for the complexity.
Wow, look at you guys going like I like funky. I like quirky stuff. All right. This is the final one, folks. This is one of our other ranked artists, Celestial Pulse. So we've seen her work over a while. We've been impressed with her so much. And then up against Kira Giramai, who I vaguely remember where they're from. I want to say Germany or definitely somewhere in Europe, but I shall find out through my amazing work here. Folks, this picture doesn't require a great deal of effort. We all know what this is. This is Mortal Kombat. Jeyodin, what'd you make of this piece?
I loved this piece. It was amazing. All the colors look great. The line work, you can see the action. It made me want to play Mortal Kombat. I really like this piece a lot. It's awesome.
It made him want to play Mortal Kombat, ladies and gentlemen. It made him want to play Mortal Kombat. So, all right. What about you, Jeffrey? Does it make you want to play Mortal Kombat?
No, I hate Mortal Kombat. I'm so bad at it. But the composition is really great. The angles are, I think, probably some of the most right that I've seen in this competition. The background is pretty cluttered. It feels like it's eating up like the scenery entirely. Yeah. But yeah, no, everything about this, from the anatomy to the perspective, is done really, really well.
Yeah, the perspective here is just extraordinary. The perspective is so good here. I agree. The background's a tad cluttered. There's no question of it. But the color work alone, and just even the exploding because of what Scorpion is doing to the ice clone is really cool. I also don't play Mortal Kombat. I was a Street Fighter guy. I always thought Mortal Kombat was stupid, but this doesn't make me want to play it, but it makes me respect it a lot more than I do. Next up is Kiri Jirimai. For some reason, I can't find this artist to know where this artist is from, but Kiri Jirimai is a very talented artist, no question, and this is a really strong piece. What do you guys make of this? Let's go to let's start with you, Jeffrey, real quickly. What do you make of this?
The rendering is done really well. Like, it almost looks like maybe gouache paint or something like that, but the everything about it just a little too simple and flat for me in terms of like composition and storytelling.
And what about you, Jay?
Yeah, I agree. Honestly, it did remind me, however, of a Digimon, like the champion form or something. But other than that, I did, however, I like that the colors are, they're the complete opposite of the background, so they stand out more. Like how the background of the sands is, contrasting with the blue, like, so that dragon is like standing out a little bit more. I think that's pretty cool. But the sands is the exact same color as the belly of the dragon or whatever, so that kind of blends in. And I would probably change that, or either add more blue to the side, so that way it's a little bit more separated. But overall, it's it's okay. I like it.
Yeah, so I think this is a solid piece. I think this is, again, we come back. First of all, Kira Jeremiah is from Germany, or I believe, yeah, Germany. And Nahara Rock, I want to say it was from Poland. Russia. Nahara Rock was from Russia. So the last image that we saw that had the funky PlayStation booby buttons was from Russia. First artist from Russia, so it's really cool. I think with Kira Gimrai, this piece, this is just the unfortunate aspect of running up against a buzzsaw. I think Celestial Pulse is obviously a ranked artist. We knew she was going to be good. We knew she was going to bring incredible talent and efficiency to what she does. She did that. And Kira Gimrai does a piece that I think is really cute. I like it. It's painted, water painted look to it. I like it a great deal. But up against, Celestial Pulse did everything that I tell people to do. Do a great image. Choose a target, a property that is recognizable, and she did that, and that always will win. And so this one, I think this is Digimon. I don't know what this is. For all I mean, Monster Ranch. I don't know.
It's Pokemon. It's Gen 5.
There you go, it's Pokemon, but it's got this painted background to it and stuff. It's a difficult one because I really think this artist is talented. I really love looking at how cute this looks, but in comparison to just the visceral, buzzsaw that is Celestial Pulse's Mortal Kombat, hard to reconcile the both. And the fan vote's not even it's not even taking chances. 86% in favor of Celestial Pulse. By the way, Nick Allen, who we were thought his DMC image was okay. He's at 52% versus 47% from the Horror Rock. But either way, this is I like the piece a lot. I feel bad for Kurojima because I think that Celestial Pulse is going to win this, and no matter what we thought, all the artists can think differently on this, and Celestial Pulse is still going to win this. As she should. I mean, it's a great piece. So, so that is it, folks. This is all the terms. Just to recap, Team Clock Striker, again, Ambar Naruto Freck, who is our #1 ranked artist in the tournament. They had a pretty runaway victory against Toro Spix, even though Toro Spix did a fantastic job with the Mortal Kombat piece. Strato Meyer Art and Ramirez is awesome. Both of them, we got their stuff in. We got Strato Arts in on time, but then Ramirez's art came in super late. So this piece had difficulties getting seen by lots of people, although all of our folks saw it. Strato Meyer Art wins that matchup. The Butcher 2, the beautiful little Kirby piece, currently is underwater next to Pondo Kuma. Pondo Kuma's Chun-Li piece looks really good, although I think the Butcher certainly is going to be looked at more favorably by the staff and creators who have a weighted vote. So we'll see how that one plays out. Art Sansime is currently underwater against Tenshi Draws. And again, all of the artists felt strongly about Art Samsimi's Mega Man, so that may be one that's reversed versus a popular vote. White Hair Artist and Rosa Studios. White Hair Artist currently is underwater against Rosa Studios. And let's see. And I'm not sure. I don't think that was how we viewed it, so we'll see. Metal Oak, Giorgio Brooks. Giorgio Brooks is one that we felt very strongly about versus Metal Oak. Nick Allen kind of get over the finish line next to Nahara Ruck from Russia. And then this group we're currently looking at here, this matchup, Celestial Pulse, fairly convincingly is overtaking Kira Jeremiah. All right, folks, so that is the tournament. This is round 1. So now, what does it mean? First of all, you can continue voting. We're going to be tabulating. We have all of our results in, so they're weighted. We'll put them in the context alongside of the popular vote once we cap the popular vote. Now, the popular vote will be capped in terms of us considering the popular vote a little bit later, a little bit later this morning. We hope to get all the results up and running. We hope to get everything up and running for the results as well as the next round matchups and the themes by 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon Eastern Standard Time at the latest. What we're hoping for. Can't promise that's what will happen. That's what we're hoping for. And we hope to be able to get that in. Again, we're going to be far more stricter on various infractions this coming round 2. So, folks, make sure you're signing. If you got your files are being named appropriately, make sure that your artwork is being submitted on time, and make sure that you're sticking to the subject, not trying to debate what the subject is. If the theme is video games, you're drawing just video game characters. With that being said, though, you can follow the event all month long and into next month at www.saturday-am.com/madness. If you want to continue to vote, please do so. And recognize, folks, that when you continue to vote, we'll be recognizing artists with our sponsors at the end of the next round. So when round 2 voting begins this weekend, next weekend, we'll be announcing some of the artists from this round who won special prizes. So again, if you're an artist, even if you didn't make it to the next round, stay tuned because you may end up walking away with some sort of prize package because we're going to be tabulating additional votes from our sponsors as well. So, folks, this is March Art Madness, the world's greatest fan art tournament. It's a 5-week-long slugfest. Each round finds a new theme that the artists have to draw under, and then we evaluate their work just like you saw tonight. Each piece, people giving detailed thoughts about the artwork from our perspective. and hopefully inspiring these creators to continue to pursue artwork as an opportunity for them to leave their legacy on the world with either new intellectual properties like Clock Striker and Hammer and Mutton Chop and Yellow Stringer and Apple Black and Sagami, properties all published by Saturday AM, or the next great property that will be seen by some other publisher. And we want to make sure that we are there to help you get to the finish line. So thank you so much, folks, for supporting Saturday AM. We'll continue to do the tournament. We'll continue to bring you guys some fantastic artwork. Thanks to these amazing artists. And we'll see you again next weekend. Take care, folks.